Doupo, outstanding intelligence. Starting by joining the chat group. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. The Han family is destroyed, and Han Kai's thoughts. Elder Yun said cautiously, "Yes, don't worry, sir. After I return to Fenglai Pavilion, I will do my best to persuade the pavilion master and make peace between Fenglai Pavilion and you." Xiao Fan glanced at Elder Yun with a smile, and said lightly, "That's not necessary. I'm going to have a personal talk with your pavilion master." Elder Yun was stunned when he heard this, and then said, "Of course that's possible. Then I'll go back first. After I go back, let our pavilion master make preparations to welcome you in advance." Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. "No need, you just stay with me for the time being. It just so happens that I'm about to go to Fenglai Pavilion, and I need a guide." When Elder Yun heard what Xiao Fan said, his heart suddenly sank. Although he was very reluctant, he had to agree. Everything will be done according to young Master Xiao's wishes. At the same time, the people of the Hong family in the hall were frightened and panicked when they saw Hong Li being beaten to death by Ziyan's punch. "Let's go together and avenge the clan leader." A few people in the living room who were loyal to the clan roared and attacked Ziyan at the same time. Most people chose to flee in all directions. After all, their strength was much worse than that of the clan leader Hong Li. Even Hong Li was not Ziyan's opponent with one punch, and they would only die if they went up. It's okay to shout slogans to sacrifice for the family, but when it comes to life-threatening matters, whoever falls in love will go. When Xiao Fan and Ziyan were taking action, Yan and King Lin were also not idle, especially Yan, because Yao Chen was captured. His anger was extremely depressed. He couldn't find anyone from the Soul Palace for the time being, so he took these guys from the Hong family to vent his anger. Yan's hand was ignited by the strange fire, and the blazing flames burned in the Hong family mansion, and people from the Hong family kept dying at his hands. Under the attack of Yan and others, the Hong family soon fell into chaos, and countless members of the Hong family were killed and injured. "How dare you? Who dares to go wild in the Hong family?" When the Hong family fell into unprecedented chaos, an angry roar suddenly came from the depths of the Hong family's inner house. When the voice fell, a red-faced old man in a yellow robe suddenly flew out from the depths of the Hong family's inner house. "Great, it's the ancestor. The ancestor is out. We are saved. Ancestor, save us. Ancestor, please kill the enemy and avenge the clan leader." Seeing the old man appear, everyone in the Hong family suddenly shouted excitedly as if they had been injected with chicken blood. It turned out that this old man was the ancestor of the Hong family, Hong Xiao. As the ancestor of the Hong family, Hong Xiao is a figure like the stabilizing force of the Hong family. Most of the time, he is in seclusion to practice, hoping to reach a higher level. If there is no major change in the Hong family, Hong Xiao will generally not show up. At this moment, Hong Xiao was suspended in the air above the Hong family mansion. Looking at the miserable situation of the Hong family below, he couldn't help but twitching his eyebrows violently, and his heart was furious. The mansion of the overlord family of Danbai City, which was very prosperous, was about to become a ruin at this moment. How could Hong Xiao not be angry? "Go to hell!" Hong Xiao roared, and a fiery red fighting spirit like a flame suddenly surged out of his body. A 2-meter-long broadsword suddenly appeared in Hong Xiao's hand, dancing fiercely, and slashed towards Xiao Fan and others. Boom! As the long sword was swung, a giant blade light was formed, almost covering Xiao Fan and others. Xiao Fan looked at the menacing Hong Xiao, and couldn't help but smile and shook his head. "Gaudy, just for show." As the voice fell, Xiao Fan opened his 5 fingers slightly, urged the fighting spirit in his body, formed a giant thunder hand flashing with lightning arcs, and brazenly pinched the blade light. Boom! With a loud noise, the blade light was crushed by the giant hand of thunder released by Xiao Fan. Then, with a crack, the giant hand of thunder crushed Hong Xiao's longsword into pieces and continued to grab Hong Xiao. "Damn, how can it be so strong?" Seeing this, Xiao's face changed drastically, and he cried out in disbelief. At the same time, he hurriedly urged his fighting spirit to avoid the capture of the giant hand of thunder. However, before Xiao could react, the giant hand of thunder had already grabbed him. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and the giant hand of thunder suddenly tightened, instantly grabbing Xiao into the giant hand, and quickly grasped it. As the giant hand of thunder tightened, Xiao screamed violently. Amidst the screams, Xiao's body was soon crushed by the giant hand of thunder. With a bang, blood and flesh flew everywhere. Ah, the ancestor is dead. How is this possible? Damn it, is it God's will to destroy our Hong family? Seeing their ancestor being crushed by Xiao Fan, the Hong family members who had just raised some hope suddenly roared in despair. Many people in the Hong family gave up the idea of resistance. Mr. Xiao was so strong, Hanzu couldn't help but murmured in her mouth when she saw this, and admiration flashed in her eyes. Han Yu also nodded and said, "Yes, it is indeed very strong." Compared with the time when he was in the academy, Elder Xiao's strength has improved a lot. These guys are too powerful and brutal. I just hope that the Pavilion Master can deal with them when the time comes. Elder Yun of Fengalai North Pavilion was frightened at this moment, secretly glad that he knew the situation just now. Otherwise, I am afraid that he would step into the Yellow Springs Road earlier than Xiao. The Hong family lost the young master, the clan leader, and the ancestor, three important figures. The remaining people of the Hong family suddenly lost hope, and the resistance was no longer so fierce. Not long after, the Hong family was destroyed by Xiao Fan and his men. As for the Hong family's treasure house, Xiao Fan and his men selected 80% of it first. Afterwards, Xiao Fan said to Han Yu, "Notify your father and let the Han family take over the Hong family's power and take sole control of Danbai City from now on." "Yes, Elder Xiao." Han Yu agreed respectfully, and then quickly returned to the Han family to report to Han Kai what happened in the Hong family. When Han Kai learned that Xiao Fan and his men showed their power in the Hong family and easily destroyed the Hong family, in addition to gratitude, he also had a little more awe for Xiao Fan and his men. The Hong family is so much stronger than their Han family. If they accidentally offended a strong figure like Xiao Fan, they would be destroyed in one move. If the children of their Han family accidentally offended other strong men, I'm afraid it would be a similar situation. His eyes changed for a while, and Han Kai said, "Doupo, your father has an idea and would like to seek your opinion." Han Yu said, "Father, please speak." Han Kai said slowly, "Although there was a gap between my Han family and the Hong family, the Hong family definitely did not have the strength to crush the Han family. It's just because the Hong family has clung to the thigh of Fengalai Pavilion that they can humiliate my Han family at will. Now that we have the support of Mr. Xiao, we can easily destroy the Hong family and gain control of Danbai City." This shows that in addition to one's own strength, a backer is equally important. Now our Han family is too weak, and it is not so easy to improve our strength in a short period of time. The best way is to rely on a strong man. Han Yu's eyes flashed slightly. Father means that the Han family depends on Mr. Xiao. Chapter 227 The Han family surrenders, and the sister's thoughts. Han Kai nodded slightly. Yes, it is to rely on Elder Xiao. However, just relying on him is not enough. Han Yu asked in confusion, "What does father mean?" Ahem. Han Kai coughed as if he was a little embarrassed, and then said, "Young Master Xiao is indeed a rare talent. If he can have a marriage relationship with my Han family, then..." At this point, Han Kai paused, and then said, "Of course, your father will never force you. It depends on your own wishes." "Okay, I will go to see the ancestor first and discuss the matter of relying on young Master Xiao with the ancestor." After speaking, Han Kai left quickly, leaving Han Yu alone, her eyes flickering. To be honest, Han Yu naturally has a lot of good feelings for Xiao Fan, but this good feeling does not involve the relationship between men and women. Han Yu is more grateful and respectful to Xiao Fan. When she heard Han Kai's words, she was a little stunned. However, after thinking about the several contacts between herself and Xiao Fan, Han Yu felt that if she married Xiao Fan, she would not have any resistance. Although it is not love for the time being, there is a foundation of goodwill. which is enough for a woman from a big family. While Han Yu was daydreaming, Han Kai, the head of the Han family, had already found Han F, the ancestor of the Han family. Han F was also shocked after hearing Han Kai's report about Xiao Fan. He naturally also sensed the fluctuations of the battle of the Han family in Tanbai City, and was worried that it would cause misunderstandings from the strange strong man and bring disaster to the Han family, so he did not go to check the details. He never thought that the strange strong man who destroyed the Han family would have a considerable relationship with the Han family, and the cause was still the Han family's affairs. You said that this elder Xiao from Canaan College is at least a strong man above the Zun level? Han was shocked and asked again. Han Kai said, indeed, the Han family and young Master Xiao have a very good relationship now. We should take this opportunity to get closer and choose to rely on young Master Xiao directly. Then the Han family will have more confidence in the future. Han pondered for a while, nodded slowly and said, what you said makes sense, but are you sure that young Master Xiao is willing to take the life and death of the Han family to heart? Once we rely on young Master Xiao, it will be equivalent to standing completely on the opposite side of Fengelai Pavilion. After all, there is only one young Master Xiao, and Fengelai Pavilion has stood in Zhongzhou for many years. It has a great influence and a large number of strong people. Once young Master Xiao leaves and Fengelai Pavilion attacks the Han family again, can young Master Xiao come to rescue them in time? Han Kai said, ancestor, in fact, once the news of the demise of the Han family spreads, Fengelai Pavilion will definitely think that we are on the same side as young Master Xiao, and then regard us as enemies. In fact, our Han family has only one way to go, which is to rely on young Master Xiao, and I believe that the future of this road will be smooth. Forget it. Now you are the head of the Han family, just do as you say. However, we should try to transfer some of the Han family members away from Tanbai City and hide outside in secret, just in case, so as not to cut off the Han family. Han's expression changed. After a long time, he sighed slightly and said in a somewhat desolate tone. Han Kai immediately said, yes, ancestor. Okay, you go. When Mr. Xiao comes back, let me know. I will also go to see this dragon among men. Han waved his hand, as if he didn't intend to continue. Han Kai, take your leave. Seeing this, Han Kai immediately bowed and then retreated. After parting with the ancestor Han Kai immediately found the elders of the Han family and arranged to take over the Han family's property. At the same time, he announced the decision he had discussed with the ancestor Han. The elders of the Han family were a little uncomfortable at first when they learned that Han Kai was going to lead the Han family to attach to Xiao Fan. However, after listening to Han Kai's analysis, everyone had no objection. Finally, according to the result of the discussion between Han Kai and Han, a two-pronged approach was adopted. Some people went to the Han family with Han Kai to meet Xiao Fan to express their attitude, while others secretly arranged for a few Han family disciples to withdraw from Tanbai City. Not long after, Han Kai and the Han family arrived at the dilapidated Han family mansion. You said that your Han family will submit to me from now on and obey my orders? Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly when he learned that Han Kai was going to lead the Han family to submit to him. Feeling a little surprised, Han Kai said, this is a unanimous decision of the Han family. I hope that Master Xiao can accept it. After that, Han Kai knelt on one knee to Xiao Fan to express his submission. Please accept it, Master Xiao. Then, the other members of the Han family also knelt on one knee and spoke respectfully. Han Yu gave a slight pull, and Han Zhu, who was standing aside in a daze, also knelt on the ground and saluted Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan hesitated for a moment, then slowly said, well, then I will accept the Han family. However, let me be frank, since you have chosen to submit to me, from now on, you must not allow any betrayal or any hypocrisy to happen, otherwise, I will never let you off easily. It is not impossible for the Han family to follow in the footsteps of the Han family. Han Kai and the Han family were shocked when they heard Xiao Fan's words. However, they had already made up their minds before coming, and they immediately agreed respectfully. Han Kai even said directly, don't worry, sir, if anyone in the Han family dares to betray you or hypocrisy, I, Han Kai, will be the first to stand up and clean up the mess. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Okay, Everyone get up. You go and take over the power and industry of the Han family first, and let everything return to normal. Yes, sir. Han Kai heard the words and immediately responded respectfully, and then ordered everyone to handle the specific matters, while he and his two daughters accompanied Xiao Fan and others back to the Han family. After Xiao Fan and his companions returned to the Han family with Han Kai, the ancestor of the Han family, also met Xiao Fan in person. After a simple test, Han immediately determined to rely on Xiao Fan. Elder Yan of Fengalai Pavilion watched the development of the situation from the side, hating it in his heart, but he had no way to deal with it. Elder Yan secretly thought that after Fengalai Pavilion dealt with Xiao Fan and the others, he would let the Han family see the strength of Fengalai Pavilion and let them know the consequences of going against Fengalai Pavilion. Unfortunately, Elder Yan could not have imagined that Xiao Fan's current strength was definitely not something that Fengalai Pavilion could resist. After the destruction of the Han family, Xiao Fan and his companions were immediately treated more highly in the Han family. The Han family gradually learned about the matter of joining Xiao Fan, as well as Han Kai's bloody warning to everyone. Everyone behaved very respectfully in front of Xiao Fan and his companions. However, when the sisters Han Yu and Han Zhu faced Xiao Fan, their expressions were a little strange. Han Yu naturally tried to take the initiative to deepen her relationship with Xiao Fan because of what Han Kai had told her, but it was a pity that Han Yu was not able to do this because she preferred cultivation. Han Zhu knew that her father Han Kai intended to bring Han Yu and Xiao Fan together, and she felt inexplicably anxious. That night, Han Zhu quietly found Han Yu and asked tentatively, "Sister, are you really willing for your father to use your feelings and marriage to tie up your relationship with Mr. Xiao? Otherwise, I will do it for you." Sister, Chapter 228. Han Yu, "Sister, you can't control it." Swish. Hearing Han Zhu's words, Han Yu suddenly raised her head and looked directly into Han Zhu's eyes. "Sister, why are you looking at me like this?" Han Zhu avoided Han Yu's sight with a guilty conscience and said with a guilty conscience. Han Yu looked at Han Zhu and said lightly, "Tell me honestly, are you in love with Mr. Xiao?" Han Zhu seemed to have been caught with a handle, and hurriedly denied, "No, sister, don't talk nonsense." Although Han Zhu tried her best to deny it, Han Yu could still see from her sister's eyes that her guess was correct. Han Yu's emotions became a little complicated for a while. After a few days of thinking, Han Yu had accepted the proposal of his father Han Kai and decided to marry Xiao Fan. Moreover, Han Yu had encountered Xiao Fan's heroic rescue before, and was even more impressed by Xiao Fan. Han Yu had even thought about living with Xiao Fan in the future, but she didn't expect that her sister actually fell in love with Xiao Fan. "No, why did I say also?" "Forget it, let it go." Han Yu shook her head slightly and put away her messy thoughts. Han Yu didn't know that because of her sister Han Zhu's sudden question, she actually cared more about Xiao Fan. It seems that she didn't want Xiao Fan to be taken away, or because of their special relationship. Han Yu said faintly, "Xur, it's normal for you to like Mr. Xiao, such an outstanding young talent, but you can't force feelings. In addition, I'm afraid that you can't control it, and you will get deeply involved and forget your father's instructions." Han Zhu said, "What instructions did your father ask?" "Oh, by the way, let the Han family and Mr. Xiao have a closer relationship, right? As long as I marry Mr. Xiao, won't the relationship between the Han family and Mr. Xiao be closer?" Han Yu shook her head slightly. "You are you, but the Han family is not you. You can ask your father for his opinion on this matter." "Okay." Han Zhu pouted and agreed. The two sisters chatted for a while, and then rested. There was no conversation all night. The next day, with Han Kai's warm hospitality, Xiao Fan and his friends had a sumptuous breakfast, and then Xiao Fan said goodbye to Han Kai. "Patriarch Han, we have been staying at the Han family for a few days. Next, I am going to go to Fengalai North Pavilion. If there is any situation in Tenbai City, please contact me at any time." Han Kai heard this and said, "Sir, why don't you stay at the Han family for a while? This way, you can just wait for the people from Fengalai North Pavilion to come." Han Kai said this, and naturally he was thinking more about the Han family. On the one hand, Xiao Fan staying at the Han family would give Han Yu more opportunities to get close to him. further binding the relationship between the Han family and Xiao Fan. On the other hand, Xiao Fan staying at the Han family would also make the Han family more secure, without having to worry about the attack from Fenglai North Pavilion. Xiao Fan glanced at Han Kai, but only guessed his latter thoughts. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. It's not my habit to wait for the enemy to come to my door. Don't worry, when I arrive at Fenglai North Pavilion, I will naturally completely resolve the conflict with Fenglai Pavilion, and the Han family will be safe. In addition, we have other things to do, and it is impossible for us to stay in the Han family for a long time. So let it go, just put your heart at ease. Han Kai heard what Xiao Fan said, and had to say, it's Han Kai who didn't think it through. Then I'll wish you a safe journey here. By the way, my daughter Han Yu hopes to accompany Mr. Zhao. It can not only increase her knowledge, but also facilitate her to learn from you better. You can just treat her as a maid. She can still do some chores for you. Han Yu and Han Zu's sisters, when they heard that Xiao Fan was leaving, felt a little reluctant. Hearing what Han Kai said to Xiao Fan, Han Yu's heart skipped a beat, not knowing what it felt like. Han Zu suddenly said, "Father, why don't you let me go with Mr. Zhao and the others?" Han Zu's sudden words caught Han Kai off guard. Han Kai glanced at Han Yu and Han Zu, and then said, "Your sister was originally a student of Canaan College. She returned home because of changes in her family. Now that the family affairs have been basically resolved, she followed the elders of the college to seek advice. Why are you joining them?" After a pause, Han Kai said to Xiao Fan, "Sir, what do you think?" Xiao Fan smiled and said, "If Han Yu agrees, it's okay for her to go with you." At this time, Xiao Fan had roughly guessed Han Kai's intention of letting Han Yu go with him, as long as it was not forced. Xiao Fan did not reject it. After all, Han Yu was also a top beauty. Even compared with his women, she was not much inferior. Well, this is not the point. He is just more philanthropic. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, everyone looked at Han Yu. Han Zu winked at Han Yu repeatedly, indicating that she refused. Han Yu seemed not to notice Han Yu's expression, and said calmly, "But according to my father's order, it is my honor to be able to follow you and ask for advice." Han Kai nodded with satisfaction, and said to Xiao Fan, "Young master, Doupo is in your hands. If she does anything wrong, just teach her a lesson." Xiao Fan said, "Don't worry, okay, we'll set off now." "Father, take care of yourself," Han Yu said to Han Kai, and then walked to Xiao Fan. Han Zu said anxiously at this time, "Young master, I also want to accompany you and ask you for advice on cultivation." Han Zu understood that Xiao Fan's words would be the most effective now, so she simply skipped Han Kai and begged Xiao Fan directly. Han Yu frowned slightly when she heard Han Zu's words, but soon relaxed again, standing silently by the side without saying a word. Xiao Fan was a little surprised to hear Han Zu's words. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and said to Han Kai, "What does the Han clan leader say?" Although the Han family has submitted to Xiao Fan, he will not be too demanding of the Han family. He has no shortage of beauties, so why force them? Han Zu said, "My sister can make her own decision, why can't I?" Han Kai ignored Han Zu, frowned tightly, and hesitated. The reason why the Han family clashed with the Hong family was because Hong Chen of the Hong family wanted to marry Han Yu and Han Zu at the same time. Han Kai and the Han family were obviously very opposed to the two sisters sharing one husband. Although Han Kai's words to Xiao Fan just now were very obscure, they expressed one meaning, that is, to marry Han Yu to Xiao Fan. Now looking at Han Zu's meaning, there is also this trend. If Han Kai agrees, it is equivalent to agreeing to let Han Yu and Han Zu share one husband. This is obviously very contradictory to the original position of the Han family. If the Han family agreed to let the two women share one husband, they would not have completely torn their faces with the Hong family at the beginning, and even evolved into a life-and-death situation. That's why Han Kai was hesitant at this moment. After going through a big circle, he ended up back to the situation he faced at the beginning. What the hell is this? Han Kai glared at Han Zu fiercely, and couldn't help but feel helpless in his heart. Chapter 229 Ding. Newcomer joins the group. Han Kai's mind changed for a while, and then he said helplessly, "Young master, I hope you don't mind my daughter being a burden to you." Han Zu blinked and looked at Xiao Fan. "Young master, I won't be a burden to you, just let me go with you. I don't want to be trapped in Danbai City all my life. Xiao Fan casually said, since Patriarch Han has no objection, then let's follow Miss Han's wishes. Han Zu was overjoyed when she heard this. Thank you, young master, thank you, father. Next, Xiao Fan took the 4 girls and Xiao Yan to say goodbye to Han Kai, and then left the Han family directly and went to Fenglai Pavilion or Fenglai North Pavilion. Oh, by the way, there was also the unlucky elder Yun of Fenglai North Pavilion. On the way, the relationship between Han Nu and Han Zu's sisters and Xiao Fan gradually became closer. With the guide elder Yun, Xiao Fan and his party naturally found the location of Fenglai North Pavilion easily. Although the strength of Fenglai North Pavilion is many times stronger than that of the Hong family in Danbai City, however, it was still not good enough in front of Xiao Fan and his men. Originally, Xiao Fan only intended to give Fenglai North Pavilion a warning, asking them not to attack the Han family and to automatically hand over the ownership of Danbai City. Unfortunately, the people of Fenglai North Pavilion did not know the current situation. Not only did they reject Xiao Fan, but they also wanted to join forces to kill Xiao Fan under the instigation of Elder Yun. The final result can be imagined. Fenglai North Pavilion soon followed the footsteps of the Hong family in Danbai City and was directly destroyed by Xiao Fan and his men, or incorporated, because Xiao Fan only destroyed the middle and high-level leaders of Fenglai North Pavilion. The remaining Fenglai Pavilion disciples of lower status were all incorporated. Now that Xiao Fan has destroyed Fenglai North Pavilion, the relationship with Fenglai Pavilion is irreconcilable. If all the people in Fenglai North Pavilion are directly destroyed, it would seem a bit too cruel. After all, many Fenglai Pavilion disciples don't even know about the grievances with Xiao Fan. On the other hand, Xiao Fan thinks it is a bit too wasteful to kill all the people in Fenglai Pavilion. Therefore, Xiao Fan decided to conquer and reorganize Fenglai Pavilion directly, and establish a stronghold for himself and the Xiao family in Zhangzhou. As for the Han family in Danbai City, it can only be said to be dependent on Xiao Fan, and cannot be regarded as Xiao Fan and the Xiao family's own power. After making the decision, Xiao Fan told Zhi Yan and the other 4 women, as well as Xiao Yan, about his plan. Finally, Xiao Fan said to Xiao Yan, after establishing a stronghold in Zhangzhou, we can better grasp the intelligence of all parties and find out the news of Seoul Palace and Yao Chen more quickly. If it were other things, Xiao Yan might not care much, but when he heard Xiao Fan's words, he immediately decided to strongly support Xiao Fan, incorporate Fenglai North Pavilion and even the entire Fenglai Pavilion, and establish a power belonging to the Xiao family. As for Zhi Yan, King Lin, Han Nu and Han Zu, the 4 women had no objection to Xiao Fan's decision. So, Xiao Fan temporarily stayed at the original Fenglai North Pavilion headquarters, and let the 4 women and Xiao Yan act separately to reorganize Fenglai North Pavilion. Han Nu and Han Zu, as the daughters of the head of the Han family, are quite talented in this area, and they helped Xiao Fan a lot in recruiting Fenglai North Pavilion. While the 4 girls and Xiao Yan were busy separately, Xiao Fan himself seemed very leisurely. He usually practiced, occasionally patrolled the Fenglai North Pavilion, and brainwashed the disciples who originally belonged to Fenglai North Pavilion. On this day, Xiao Fan was practicing, and suddenly heard the sound of a new member joining the chat group in the 10,000 Worlds chat group. Ding. Xiao Feng joined the chat group. Ding. Su Mushing joined the chat group. Xiao Feng, Su Mushing. Hearing these 2 names, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly and immersed his consciousness in the 10,000 Worlds chat group. At this moment, in the 10,000 Worlds chat group, other group members also received the reminder of the new member joining the group, and many people sent messages to express their welcome to the newcomer. Luo Feng, welcome the newcomer to the group. Haha, I have become an old man too. Laughs. Li Hanyu, welcome the newcomer. Zhang San, is there another newcomer joining? Welcome. Su Xiaoxiao, welcome the newcomers. I didn't expect that one of the newcomers joining the group this time is actually my sister. Laughs. Wan, welcome the newcomers. I wonder what the world they live in is like. How long new? Just ask Miss Su and you'll know. Zhang Yuan, which Miss Su are you talking about? Playful. Yan Linji, You can also ask Brother Xiao Fan. Brother Xiao Fan must also know the information of the newcomers, right, Brother Xiao Fan? Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan quickly scanned the messages in the group, couldn't help but smile, and then sent a message. Xiao Fan, Xiao Feng, SYNOPSIS, welcome the two new friends. Welcome. Xiao Fan, Yan Lingji, you're right, I know the situation of these two new friends very well. Ningong Push, I wonder what the identities and strengths of these two newcomers are. Yubuku, I'm quite curious. Huang Rong, curiosity kills the cat. Smirk. Xiao Fan, haha, it's okay to talk about it. However, these two new friends have had quite tragic experiences, especially Xiao Feng. It can be said that he was extremely miserable. Sympathy, Xiaoxiao. Hehe, I know this too. Xiao Fan, Mr. Xiao, can you give me a chance to show off? Xiao Fan, Xiaoxiao, okay, then you tell the two new friends about their original life trajectories, so that if nothing unexpected happens, they should be able to avoid the tragedy. The world of Tanlongbabu. Outside the city of Wuxi, Jiangsu, in the apricot forest, the four elders of the beggar gang suddenly summoned the gang members and wanted to rebel against Xiao Feng. As a result, Xiao Feng made them willing to be tied up with a few words. After the elders were tied up, Xiao Feng was very puzzled. He didn't understand why the elders who had been close to him betrayed him and even wanted to kill him. Xiao Feng first performed the 3-knife 6-hole punishment himself to resolve the death penalty for the four elders, and then asked the four elders why they betrayed themselves. Unfortunately, although the four elders were very grateful and admired Xiao Feng, they were unwilling to tell the truth. Xiao Feng was thinking about what exactly caused the four elders to unite and rebel against him. Suddenly, a strange prompt sounded in his mind, and then he inexplicably joined the chat group of the 10,000 worlds. At first, Xiao Feng thought he was hallucinating, but soon he found that the chat group really existed. The content of the subsequent discussions, especially the mention of Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao knowing his life trajectory, shocked Xiao Feng, but at the same time he had a little expectation. If this chat group of the 10,000 worlds really existed, and what Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao said in the group was true, then they all knew what happened in his life. Wouldn't he be able to know why the four elders betrayed him through them? After Xiao Feng's consciousness sank into the chat group, he seemed to be distracted from the outside. The people of the beggar gang saw that Xiao Feng was just majestically carrying out the punishment of 3 knives and 6 holes, but now he was suddenly distracted and looked sluggish, and they were puzzled. What happened to the leader Qiao? Could it be that because he couldn't stand the stimulation of betrayal, something unexpected happened? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230 The Cruel Truth. Xiao Feng's Pain. Xiao Feng naturally didn't know what everyone in the beggar sect was thinking. At this moment, he was still nervously paying attention to the news in the Wanji chat group. Moreover, Xiao Feng was actually very puzzled. His name was clearly Xiao Feng, so why did the chat group show Xiao Feng? Did the chat group make a mistake, and that Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao, what they knew was actually wrong? When Xiao Feng's mind was changing, Xiaoxiao also took the initiative to add Xiao Feng in the chat group. Xiaoxiao, Xiao Feng, are you still the leader of the beggar sect now? Did the Xing Silent Conference happen? In the world of Tanlongbabu, Xiao Fan saw the message sent by Xiaoxiao, and his expression suddenly changed. How did she know about the Xing Silent Conference? Could it be that this Miss Su really knew my future destiny? Thinking in his heart, Xiao Feng still replied to the message in the group. Xiao Feng, I am now the leader of the beggar sect, but my name is Xiao Feng. Why is it Xiao Feng shown in the chat group, and you also call me Xiao Feng? Xiaoxiao, all this has to start from the Xing Silent Conference. When you were the leader of the beggar sect, you were indeed called Xiao Feng, but your real name is indeed Xiao Feng. After the Xing Silent Conference, you will no longer be the leader of the beggar sect, and you will become the public enemy of the Central Plains martial arts world. In the Tanlongbabu world, in the Xing Silent, Xiao Feng saw Xiaoxiao's message. His expression suddenly became stern. and he glanced at the people around the beggar sect, and he was in doubt. Xiao Fan, at Xiaoxiao, the beggar sect did rebel, but it has been quelled. How could I become the public enemy of the Central Plains martial arts world? Xiaoxiao, because you are kitten. Back then, immediately, Xiaoxiao told Xiao Fan about Xiao Fan's life experience and the truth of the battle outside Yanmen past 30 years ago. I am actually a kitten. My mentor is the enemy who killed my father? In the Tanlong Babu world, Xiao Fan was shocked after reading the message sent by Xiaoxiao. It was really hard to believe that this was true. Xiao Fan, at Xiaoxiao, Miss Su, are you telling the truth? I am really a kitten? How is this possible? In the Dqi world, the original location of Fengalai Beige, Xiao Fan looked at the content of the message in the chat group and couldn't help but shook his head slightly. It seems that this hero Xiao still has illusions in his heart, thinking in his heart. Xiao Fan also sent a message casually in the chat group. Xiao Fan, at Xiao Fan, why does hero Xiao care too much about whether he is a kitten? There are good people and bad people among the Han people. There are bad people and good people among the kitten people, so there is no need to care too much. As for your identity as a kitten, there is no adulteration. If nothing unexpected happens, the elder Zhu of the beggar gang will soon appear and reveal your identity as a kitten. Xiao Fan, your excellency also knows about my affairs? Xiao Fan, of course, I know more than you think. Yubuku, the life experience of this hero Xiao is indeed a bit tragic. Dongba, being in the rivers and lakes, any kind of experience is normal. Yan Lingjai, the leader of the Zhong gang, is really talking without any pain in the waist. Smirk, urgent military information. In the world of Tianlong Babu, Xiao Fan was about to reply to the message in the group, when he suddenly heard a sound of horse hooves not far away, mixed with the shouts of beggar gang disciples. Seeing this, Xiao Fan's expression was slightly stern, and he sent a message in the group. Xiao Fan, there is an important matter in the gang. I will excuse myself first. After sending the message, Xiao Fan directly exited the chat group interface and paid full attention to the beggar gang disciples who rushed over. Not long after, the leader of the Desi branch of the beggar gang, with a disciple, quickly came to Xiao Fan and knelt down, respectfully presenting a small package to Xiao Fan. The leader of the Desi branch said to Xiao Fan, Master, urgent military information. Xiao Fan took the package, opened it, and saw a wax ball wrapped inside. He crushed the wax ball, took out a paper ball, and was about to unfold it to see, when he suddenly heard the sound of horse hooves, and someone on horseback had rushed into the forest in the east. As soon as the horse head appeared in the forest, the passengers on the horse jumped down and shouted, Boss Xiao, the wax ball is a letter, which is a military event. You can't read it. Everyone was shocked. When they looked at the man, they saw that he had a fluttering white beard and was wearing a patched quail coat. He was an old beggar of great age. Behind the old beggar, there were several people of different shapes and dresses, and two strong men carried a sedan chair and walked quickly towards the apricot forest. After the sedan chair landed, a young woman in white came out of the sedan chair, who looked quite beautiful. The old beggar in the lead was Elder Zhu, a very prestigious elder of the beggars gang. Behind Elder Zhu were Mr. and Mrs. Tan from Xiaoxiao Cave in Taihang Mountain, Gao Kaiansum, Iron-Faced Judge Shanzhang, Master Zhigang of Tantai Mountain and others. As for the beautiful young woman, she was Kang Minutes, the wife of Ma Dayuan, the deputy leader of the beggars gang. When Xiao Fan saw Elder Zhu and others coming, and thought of the news that the group members in the chat group had said before, his heart was shocked again. This situation is exactly the same as what Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao said. This made Xiao Fan even more depressed. Could it be that I am really a kitten? Xiao Fan's thoughts were surging in his heart, and he stood there silently. Seeing this, Elder Zhu on the side went straight forward and took the paper ball taken out of the wax ball from Xiao Fan. When Elder Zhu reached out to grab the paper ball, Xiao Fan had already noticed it. However, after a slight hesitation, Xiao Fan still let him take the paper ball away. Xiao Fan has lived in the beggar sect for many years. The former leader Wang Jiantong taught him a lot and passed on martial arts to him. Xiao Fan really didn't want to appear in a situation of conflict with other people in the beggar sect. Xiao Fan took a deep breath and wanted to make a final verification. He said to Elder Zhu, Elder Zhu, You have been living in seclusion for many years. I don't know why you suddenly came out this time. I don't know why, Elder Zhu said. This matter should be explained by the parties involved. Kang Minutes, who was dressed in mourning, heard Elder Zhu's words, slowly turned around, faced the people of the beggar sect, and said tearfully, "My late husband unfortunately passed away. I can only blame myself for my miserable life. I am even more sad that my late husband did not leave a son or daughter to continue the Ma family's cigarettes." Although she spoke very softly, her voice was crisp and clear, and each word was transmitted to everyone's ears, which was very pleasant. When she said this, she whimpered slightly and sobbed slightly. The beggar sect in the apricot forest couldn't help but feel pity. Next, Kang Minutes, like in the original novel, secretly slandered Xiao Fan and deliberately led Xiao Fan to Ma Deyuan's death, making everyone suspect that Xiao Fan killed Ma Deyuan. Xiao Fan listened to Kang Minutes' words, and watched the increasingly hostile eyes of the beggar sect. He could not help but think of what Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao said in the chat group again. Xiao Fan closed his eyes slightly, and felt extremely painful. All this was actually true. At this moment, an illusory mysterious light gate suddenly appeared above the apricot forest. From the mysterious light gate, a handsome young man in a green shirt stepped down from the air step by step, like an immortal descending to the earth. Chapter 231. Everyone is shocked. Zing Silent Conference. The figure that walked out of the mysterious light gate was naturally Xiao Fan from the Qi world. On the one hand, Xiao Fan was somewhat interested in the famous scene of the Zing Silent Conference in the original novel. On the other hand, Xiao Fan was thinking about signing in again in the Tanlong Babu world. So, after Xiao Fan consciously exited the chat group, he traveled to the Tanlong Babu world through the chat group. Anyway, as the group leader, Xiao Fan did not need the invitation of the group members to travel to the world of the group members at will. In the Zing Silent, the heroes of the beggar gang were shocked when they saw the scene that suddenly appeared in the air, but they even ignored Xiao Fan's affairs and looked at Xiao Fan's position with great concentration. The way Xiao Fan appeared was too shocking for the heroes in the Zing Silent, and they couldn't help but whispered, "What's going on? Why is there such a strange phenomenon in the sky? What is the identity of the young man who appeared from the sky? Does this world really have gods?" In a corner of the apricot forest, Wang Yuan, Aju, Abai and Wan Yu were also watching the beggars gang's good show silently. Seeing Xiao Fan walk out of the mysterious light gate, and then step down from the light gate step by step, their expressions were also quite shocked. Abai exclaimed in a low voice, "Ms. Cousin, Sister Aju, do you think this young man who fell from the sky is a human or something else?" Aju quietly glanced in the direction of Xiao Fan, lowered her voice and said, "It looks like there is not much difference between us. It should be a human, right? It's just that his strength may be stronger, so he can use such means." Wang Yuan said, "I didn't expect that besides my cousin, there are such young heroes in the world." Duan Yu listened to the three women's words, but his interest was not high. Now Duan Yu, except for the fairy sister he has been thinking about, no one else can catch his eye. Xiao Fan was no exception. Of course, if it was a beauty prettier than Wang Yuan, there might be an exception. Xiao Fan ignored the changes in the minds of the people in the apricot forest. After walking out of the illusory light gate, he landed not far from Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan looked at Xiao Fan with some doubt, and said with a fist, "I wonder what your name is, sir, and what you want to teach me." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "I am Xiao Fan. We just talked about it." Xiao Fan was shocked again when he heard Xiao Fan's words. This so-called chat group can actually allow people from other worlds to travel to their world? It seems that this so-called chat group of all worlds is more terrifying than he imagined. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan clasped his fists and saluted Xiao Fan. "So you are Mr. Xiao Fan." Qiao is polite. Xiao Fan smiled. "Perhaps you should call yourself." Whether my surname is Xiao or Qiao, it is difficult to tell for a while, but I am used to calling you Xiao Feng. After all, it has been this name for 20 to 30 years. Xiao Feng shook his head slightly. His expression seemed a little bleak. Elder Zhu heard the conversation between Xiao Feng and Xiao Fan. His expression changed slightly, and he thought secretly in his heart, Could it be that Xiao Fan already knew his true identity? But he didn't know who the Xiao Fan who suddenly appeared was? Could it be that he came to meet Xiao Fan? Seeing that everyone's attention was almost all attracted by Xiao Fan, Kang Minutes once again put on the posture of a weak widow, crying and complaining, and told the story of Ma Dayuan's death and the theft in his home in a mournful voice, and finally directed it to Xiao Fan again. Hearing this, everyone in the apricot forest looked at Xiao Fan with complicated expressions. Next, Elder Zhu, Master Zhigang and others, just like in the original novel, told the story of a tragic battle outside Yanmen Pass. In the end, they told others that Xiao Fan was the son of the couple outside Yanmen Pass. Xiao Fan was very sad to learn about this, but he also accepted it calmly, because he learned about this from Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao in advance. It was just a confirmation, and he had already accepted it psychologically. Xiao Fan watched this good show on the side, which was much more exciting than reading the original text. The changes in the faces of the beggar gang, Master Zhigang, Mr. Tan and Mrs. Tan, Shanzhang, Dao Qiansun and others were also very interesting. After Master Zhigang finished telling the whole story, Elder Zhu clasped his fist to Master Zhigang and said, "Thank you Master Zhigang for recounting the old story," which made everyone feel as if they were there in person. This letter, he raised the letter in his hand and continued. It was written by the leader to gang leader Wang. The letter strongly advised gang leader Wang not to pass the position of gang leader to gang leader Qiao. Gang leader Qiao, you might as well take a look at it yourself. As he spoke, Elder Zhu handed the letter to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan was about to take the letter, but Master Zhigang on the side suddenly stepped forward and said, "Let me see if it is really the original letter first." As he said that, Master Zhigang took the lead and took the letter from Elder Zhu, opened it and quickly read it. Yes, it is indeed the handwriting of the leader. After reading it, Master Zhigang nodded slightly and said something, then bent his fingers slightly, urged his strength, and wanted to destroy the signature at the end of the letter. Seeing this, Xiao Fan smiled slightly. "Master Zhigang, are you trying to destroy the evidence?" As he spoke, Xiao Fan waved his hand and easily sucked the letter from Master Zhigang's hand. When Xiao Fan heard what Xiao Fan said, he thought of Master Zhigang's action just now. His expression changed slightly, and he clasped his fists to Xiao Fan and said, "Thank you, Master Xiao Fan, for taking this secret letter." Master Zhigang's face changed drastically, and he looked at Xiao Fan and said, "Donor, why bother? I'm afraid your action will cause unrest in the Central Plains martial arts world." Xiao Fan said indifferently, "What does the unrest in the Central Plains martial arts world have to do with me? Moreover, the so-called leader may not really be able to influence the entire Central Plains martial arts world." As he spoke, Xiao Fan casually handed the letter he had snatched to Xiao Fan. "Thank you." Xiao Fan thanked him again, took the letter with both hands, opened it and read the content of the letter, as well as the last signature. The content of the letter mentioned Xiao Fan's identity, and also advised Wang Jiantong not to appoint Xiao Fan as the leader of the beggar sect. The last signature shocked Xiao Fan. How could this be? Xiao Fan looked at the content of the letter and the signature of Abbot Xuanzi. His eyes were full of disbelief, and his body could not help but stagger back a few steps. Amitabha. Master Zhigang put his hands together, chanted a Buddhist name, and his expression was full of helplessness. Elder Zhu then took out another letter and handed it to Xiao Fan. "This is the handwriting of gang leader Wang. You should recognize it is his handwriting." Xiao Fan said nothing, took the letter, and read it silently. "This is a letter to Deputy Gang Leader Ma, the elders who teach skills, the elders who enforce the law, and all the elders of the beggar gang. If Xiao Fan is pro-Liao, rebellious against Han, helps the Kitten, and hates the Song dynasty, the whole gang will work together to kill him without any mistakes. Poisoning or assassination are all acceptable, and the perpetrators will be rewarded and innocent." This is written by Wang Jiantong. In Xiao Fan's heart, Wang Jiantong is both a strict teacher and a kind father. Seeing what Wang Jiantong wrote in the letter, Xiao Fan was really heartbroken. Tears welled up in his eyes and dripped onto the letter paper. Xiao Fan looked at this scene and couldn't help but shake his head slightly, and asked Elder Zhu, "How did you get these two letters? When did you know the contents of the letters?" Chapter 232 The truth is revealed. "Leave," Elder Zhu said. This letter was presented by the widow of Deputy Gang Leader Ma. Only Deputy Gang Leader Ma knew about this handwritten letter from Gang Leader Wang. He kept it strictly and never told anyone about it. Madame Ma also got it from Deputy Gang Leader Ma's belongings. Xiao Fan said calmly, if that's the case, no one should have known the content of Gang Leader Wang's handwritten letter before Deputy Gang Leader Ma died. Madame Ma's words about hiding things slowly and encouraging thieves and killing people to silence them are probably not true, right? After hearing what Xiao Fan said, everyone in the apricot forest felt that it made sense. Zhu and the others on the side also noticed Xiao Fan. Zhu thought to herself that this master Xiao had the same idea as her. Kang Minutes looked up at Xiao Fan and said, "Who are you, young master? Why do you come to interfere in the affairs of my beggar sect?" Xiao Fan said calmly, "I am friends with the leader of your beggar sect. You have the intention of slandering him, so I naturally have to stand up and say something fair. As for the affairs of the beggar sect, I have no interest in them." "How did Deputy Leader Ma die? I'm afraid you know the most, right?" Kang Minutes' face changed when he heard this. "What do you mean?" Xiao Fan smiled and said, "In front of me, you should tell everyone the truth about Ma Deyuan's death." While speaking, Xiao Fan directly used the soul-stealing technique on Kang Minutes. Under the influence of the soul-stealing technique, Kang Minutes immediately told the story of her and Bei Shijing's conspiracy to kill Ma Deyuan without reservation. Wow! When the people of the beggar sect heard Kang Minutes' words, they were immediately in an uproar and focused their attention on the law enforcement elder Bei Shijing. How could this happen? Deputy Gang Leader Ma was killed by Elder Bei. Moreover, Elder Bei had an affair with Madame Ma. This is too. Mrs. Ma just hinted that it was the gang leader who killed Deputy Gang Leader Ma. It seems that this is simply the thief crying thief. Damn bitch. Not only did she kill Deputy Gang Leader Ma, but she also wanted to frame Gang Leader Xiao. She is so abominable. Xiao Feng turned around suddenly and looked at Bei Shijing with murderous eyes. Bei Shijing's face turned pale, and beads of sweat instantly oozed out of his forehead, and his eyes were dodging. Seeing this, everyone trusted Kang Minutes' words a little more, but they were also very puzzled. Why did Madame Ma murder her husband? Xiao Fan looked around, smiled faintly, and continued to ask Kang Minutes, "Why did you collude with Bei Shijing to kill Ma Deyuan?" Kang Minutes said coldly, "I accidentally saw the handwritten note that Gang Leader Wang left for Ma Deyuan, asking Ma Deyuan to reveal the secret of Xiao Feng's life experience and make Xiao Feng lose his reputation. However, Ma Deyuan, that abscess, actually disagreed to reveal Xiao Feng's life experience and threatened me that if I told this, he would take my life. This abscess used to obey me, but I didn't expect that in this matter, he was as stinky and hard as a stone in the toilet. In this case, I naturally have to take the initiative to get rid of this abscess. But I am just a woman, how can I be Ma Deyuan's opponent? So I have to ask Bei Shijing for help." Everyone listened to Kang Minutes' words, and their faces changed. Unexpectedly, the truth of Ma Deyuan's death would be like this. Xiao Feng looked gloomy and said in a deep voice, "I have never been rude to my sister-in-law. Why do you hate me so much? Do you want to ruin my reputation?" Kang Minutes did not answer Xiao Feng's question, as if she did not hear it. Xiao Fan said indifferently, "Tell me, why do you hate Xiao Gang Leader so much?" Kang Minutes said hatefully, "Xiao Feng, you are a bastard, you are arrogant." Kang Minutes first scolded Xiao Feng severely, and then told her that Xiao Feng ignored her at the Luoyang 100 Flowers Festival, which made her secretly hate him, and all the actions he took afterwards. There was even the unspeakable affair between her, Guan Guangqing, and Elder Zhu. After hearing Kang Minutes' response, the beggar sect in the apricot forest were shocked again. Xiao Feng was full of disbelief. This woman is too shameless. On the side of the apricot forest, Abai looked in Kang Minutes' direction and couldn't help but spit. Zhu said, "I never thought there would be such a woman in the world." Just because Boss Qiao didn't look at her more at the beginning, she held a grudge against Boss Qiao and wanted to ruin his reputation. Wang Nuian said hesitantly, "Human hearts are really scary." While several people were whispering, everyone in the beggar gang also cursed Kang Minutes. "Damn bitch. Such a vicious woman. I feel so sorry for Deputy Leader Ma." Because of her own selfishness, she first killed Deputy Leader Ma, and then framed leader Qiao, causing the brothers of the bigger sect to become alienated. She deserves to die. And Quan Guangqin and Elder Zhu, they are also no good, especially Elder Zhu, who is so shameless and a bastard at such an old age. Damn it, because of a woman, a deputy leader of the bigger sect was killed, 2 elders and a helmsman were dragged into the water, and the leader was framed and slandered. It's so hateful. After Kang Minutes finished telling everything, Xiao Fan casually lifted the soul-stealing technique he had cast on her. Kang Minutes recalled the scene just now, his face turned pale, and he looked at Xiao Fan in despair. You are a devil. Xiao Fan said lightly, a vicious woman like you is more terrifying than a devil. Xiao Fan also knew the truth of everything at this time. His expression changed for a while, and then he walked towards Bei Shijing and asked in a deep voice, Elder Bei, is what Madame Ma said just now true? Bei Shijing's face was pale, and he whispered, Boss Qiao, I am sorry for you, and I am sorry for the brothers Daiyuan and the bigger sect. After that, Bei Shijing slapped his forehead directly, bang. With a loud bang, Bei Shijing's forehead was directly blasted by himself. Seeing this, the faces of the bigger sect changed again. Xiao Feng looked around at the bigger sect and said, now the truth is out. The murderer who killed Deputy Leader Ma has been brought to justice. Since I am a kitten, I am no longer suitable to be the leader of the bigger sect. How to deal with Elder Zhu and Leader Quan who are involved in this matter, let the elders of the bigger sect decide. As for the dog-beating stick that symbolizes the leader's status, I wonder which hero will come forward to take it. The bigger sect looked at each other, but no one came forward to take the dog-beating stick. Xiao Feng said calmly, since no one is willing to come forward to take the dog-beating stick, this dog-beating stick will be temporarily handed over to the elder who will pass on the skills. When a new leader is selected in the future, it will be handed over to the new leader. After that, Xiao Feng took out the dog-beating stick and threw it in the direction of the elder who passed on the skills. The elder who passed on the skills subconsciously reached out to take the dog-beating stick, and his expression was very complicated. Master Qiao, please don't abandon the bigger sect. Seeing Xiao Feng's move, many people in the bigger sect who supported Xiao Feng couldn't help but shout out. Xiao Feng said, my identity is not suitable for me to stay in the bigger sect. The mountains and rivers remain unchanged. We will meet again in the future. Then, Xiao Feng said to Xiao Fan, Master Xiao Fan, will you leave with me? Xiao Fan smiled and said, okay, except Brother Xiao, I don't need to deal with anyone else. While the two were talking, they went out of the apricot forest. While rushing on the road, Xiao Fan also gave the system a sign-in instruction in his heart. Chapter 233 New Sign-in, a hero saves the beauty. Xiao Fan had just given the system a sign-in instruction in his heart, and the familiar voice of the system sounded in his mind again. Ding! Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the Tan Long Heart method. Tan Long Heart method? I don't know if it is the one I know. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan directly chose to use the reward. Soon, the content of the Tan Long Heart method was all presented in Xiao Fan's memory, as if he had been comprehending it for countless years. It turned out to be that terrifying heart method. After understanding the content of the Tan Long Heart method in his memory, Xiao Fan couldn't help but feel pleasantly surprised. This Tan Long Heart method is exactly the method that the protagonist Gu Chenshaw practiced in the Dragon Talisman world. The Tan Long Heart method has exceeded the scope of martial arts and Taoism. It is a product that includes all civilizations. Only the fragments of the heart method can seize the fortune of heaven and earth and condense the position of the true God. The complete method can condense the position of the Emperor of Heaven and be on par with the Way of Heaven, directly reaching the level of the Way of Heaven. The power of this method can be imagined. However, Xiao Fan was not in a hurry to practice the Tan Long Heart method. He planned to wander around the Tan Long world and then return to the Qi world to integrate the Tan Long Heart method into the Thunder Emperor technique he was practicing, so that the Thunder Emperor technique could undergo another transformation and sublimation. Mr. Xiao, thank you for clearing my grievances and finding the murderer who killed Deputy Leader Ma for me and the bigger sect. Xiao Fan was thinking in his heart, and Xiao Feng on the side suddenly spoke up and expressed his gratitude to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan said casually, for me, this is just a matter of thought. so you don't have to be polite. Now that you know your true identity, and you also know the identity of the person who killed your parents, what do you plan to do?" Xiao Fan was silent for a while after hearing this, and then shook his head and said, "To be honest, I don't know what to do. I never thought that I have been doing my best to kill the Liao people all these years, but it turns out that I am one of the Liao people. But Zhu Yuanzhang and my master killed my parents, but raised me to adulthood and taught me kung fu. They are both my enemies and my benefactors. I don't know whether I should seek revenge on them or repay them." Xiao Fan smiled slightly. "You did miss a point. In fact, your father did not die after falling off the cliff that year, and he is still alive now." Xiao Fan was immediately surprised and happy when he heard this. "What? My father is still alive? Master Xiao Fan, are you telling the truth?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Of course it is true. Your father has now disguised himself as a Shaolin monk and is secretly practicing the 72 Shaolin skills in the Shaolin Scripture Pavilion, because your father felt that he was wrongly accused of coming to Shaolin to steal the skills. He simply went to do it." Xiao Fan didn't know what to say for a while after hearing what Xiao Fan said. After a while, Xiao Fan said, "I want to go to Shaolin Temple to find my father, and then decide how to treat Abbot Xuanzi and others. I have to leave for a while. Please forgive me, Mr. Xiao Fan." Xiao Fan said, "Please, Mr. Zhao." Xiao Fan saluted Xiao Fan again, and then quickly went in the direction of Shaolin Temple. Now there should be nothing exciting to see in Shaolin Temple, so Xiao Fan did not go to Shaolin Temple with Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan remembered that in the original work, after Xiao Fan left Xing Silent, the Zixia people suddenly used the sad and refreshing wind, which made all the heroes of the beggar gang lose their combat effectiveness and directly capture them all. Not only the people of the beggar sect, but also Wang Yuan, Izu and Abi who stayed in the corner of the Xing Silent were all poisoned by the sad and clear breeze. Duan Yu, on the other hand, was not affected because he had taken the Manguzu, which made his body immune to all poisons. Duan Yu only cared about protecting his fairy sister and quickly seized a horse and rode away. Izu and Abi, like all the people of the beggar sect, were captured by the Zixia warriors. In the original novel, it was Xiao Feng who rescued Izu and Abi. Now Feng, because he knew his life experience in advance and knew that his father was not dead, rushed to Shaolin Temple. "I'm afraid that Izu and Abi are in some danger. I don't know how they will get rid of the Zixia warriors this time." If Izu and Abi were not rescued, they would not have come up with the idea of pretending to be Xiao Feng to save the beggar sect, and I don't know what the fate of the beggar sect would be. After a while of thoughts flying in his mind, Xiao Fan shook his head slightly and chose a direction at random. When Xiao Fan passed by a pavilion, he suddenly saw two pretty girls in the pavilion being captured by 5 or 6 Zixia warriors. Seeing Xiao Fan, one of the girls hurriedly shouted, "Young Master Zhao, save us." Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at the two girls in the pavilion. He couldn't help but laugh secretly. He didn't expect that after Xiao Fan left, it was his turn to rescue the two girls. That's right, the two young women captured by the Zixia warriors were Aju and Abai from Yanzhou. And it was Aju who asked Xiao Fan for help. Previously in the apricot forest, Aju and Abai had seen Xiao Fan's shocking appearance and felt that Xiao Fan was definitely not a weakling. When the Zixia warriors heard Aju asking Xiao Fan for help, they immediately drew their scimitars and looked at Xiao Fan aggressively. One of them shouted, "Go, 2 people, catch that guy." Yes, 2 Zixia warriors agreed, raised their scimitars, and slashed at Xiao Fan. Seeing this, Xiao Fan couldn't help but shake his head slightly. Why do some people always like to seek death? When the voice fell, Xiao Fan waved his hand casually, and a terrifying invisible force bombarded the 2 Zixia warriors. Bang, bang. The next moment, there were 2 explosions, and the 2 Zixia warriors were directly shocked by the invisible force and exploded. So powerful. Aju and Abai saw this scene, and their eyes widened, and they couldn't help but cry out. The remaining Zixia warriors changed their faces, and panic flashed in their eyes. At the same time, they quickly put their scimitars against Aju and Abai's necks, wanting to use them as hostages to threaten Xiao Fan. "Don't come over, or we will kill them both." Aju and Abai had a knife against their necks, and they couldn't help showing fear on their faces. They looked towards Xiao Fan's position with some fear, hoping that Xiao Fan would not give up on them. With your little tricks, it is useless to me. Xiao Fan smiled slightly, and his mind moved slightly, and he released several soul attacks in an instant. Plop, plop, dot. In a blink of an eye, the remaining Xiao warriors suddenly fell to the ground and lost their breath. Seeing this, Aju and Abai were both surprised and shocked. Thank you, Mr. Xiao, for saving my life. Aju suppressed the shock in her heart and expressed her gratitude to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan said casually, "It's okay, it's just a piece of cake. Judging from your situation, you seem to have been poisoned." Aju said, "Yes, these Xixia people released a strange poison in the apricot forest, which made people cry continuously and lose their skills and ability to move." Xiao Fan smiled faintly and said, "That should be the Bezu King thing of Xixia Yipintang. These Xixia warriors may have an antidote." Aju was happy to hear this and said, "I'll have to trouble you, Master Xiao, to search the bodies of the Xixia people to see if there is an antidote." Xiao Fan nodded slightly and reached out to feel around the Xixia warriors. Aju and Abai looked at Xiao Fan's search nervously, their eyes full of expectation. Chapter 234 Rescue, Exposed. Xiao Fan searched around on several Xixia warriors and soon found a small porcelain bottle. He opened the bottle and it immediately released a pungent odor. Although the smell was very unpleasant, Xiao Fan knew that this was the antidote to the sad and cool breeze. Aju and Abai endured the nausea and sniffed the porcelain bottle for a while, and then they were freed from the toxicity of the sad and cool breeze and returned to normal. "Thank you, Master Xiao." After they recovered, they quickly bowed to Xiao Fan and expressed their gratitude. Xiao Fan casually said, "You're welcome. I remember you were also in the apricot forest before." "What happened in the apricot forest? How did you get caught by the Xixia people?" Aju said, "Not long after you and Boss Qiao left, the Xixia people broke into the apricot forest, saying that they had an appointment with the beggar sect, but the beggar sect broke the appointment and started a fight with the beggar sect. Unexpectedly, they used poison in a despicable way." Soon, Aju told Xiao Fan what happened in the apricot forest, which was almost the same as the plot in the original book. Xiao Fan looked as if he had just found out, and then nodded. "Is that so? I wonder what the two ladies are going to do next." Aju said, "We have to find our cousin first, and then go to Shaolin Temple with her to find my master." Xiao Fan said, "The cousin you mentioned is the Miss Wang who was with you before, right? Was she also captured by the Xixia people?" Aju said with some concern, "At that time, Master Duan took the cousin away on horseback. I wonder if they escaped the pursuit of the Xixia people." Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, and slowly said, "I am also destined to be with you, so I will go with you to find Miss Wang, so that you won't meet the Xixia warriors again and be in danger again." "Thank you, Master Xiao." Aju and Abai were overjoyed when they heard this, and they thanked Xiao Fan at the same time. Although Aju and Abai also practiced martial arts, they only learned a little bit. Facing those vicious Xixia warriors, they had no chance of winning. In addition, the other party had a poison like Bezu Kingfeng, which made them even more afraid. At this moment, they felt relieved when they heard that a master like Xiao Fan was willing to work with them. Afterwards, Xiao Fan took Aju and Abai and quickly rushed in the direction pointed out by Aju to rescue Wang Yuan. What surprised Xiao Fan was that when he took Aju and Abai to find Wang Yuan and Duan Yu were actually being harassed by Mirong Fu. Of course, Mirong Fu now used the identity of Li Yanzong. "It seems that I came a lot earlier." Seeing this scene, Xiao Fan's eyes flashed slightly, and he thought to himself, "Miss Aju, Miss Abai, you came at the right time. You go upstairs from the side first and take Miss Wang away. I will entangle this Xixia master." Duan Yu saw Aju and Abai coming, and hurriedly shouted to the two women. For Duan Yu now, Wang Yuan's life is the first priority. Upon hearing this, Mirong Fu, who used the alias Li Yanzong, said in a cold voice, "It is wishful thinking for you to save people from me with just these two little girls. Come down now and let me kill you with one knife. Otherwise, you must promise to kowtow 3 times to me every time you see me, and shout, 'Master, please spare my life.'" Duan Yu shook his head and said, "A scholar can be killed but not humiliated. I can't agree to this condition, but I can't go down either." "I can't die yet," Mirong Fu sneered. That's not up to you. After that, Mirong Fu held a scimitar in his hand, looking ready to attack. Upon seeing this, Aju and Abai immediately showed worry on their faces and said to Xiao Fan, "Mr. Xiao, please save Mr. Duan and his cousin." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "If I take action, this person will probably not be able to survive." "Are you sure you want me to do it?" When Mirong Fu heard what Xiao Fan said, he withdrew his gaze from Duanu, turned to look at Xiao Fan, and said in a deep voice, "Who are you? You are so arrogant. It doesn't matter who I am. Do you know who you are?" Xiao Fan asked back with a smile, and then looked at Aju and Abai, as if asking for their opinions. Aju said, "This man is a Zixia master, and he also wants to hurt Master Duan and Miss Biao. Even if you, Master Xiao, kill him, he deserves to die." Abai also nodded and said, "Sister Aju is right. Please help Master Duan and Miss Biao." Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "Do you know that the so-called Zixia warrior in front of you is not a Zixia person, but a well-known figure in the Central Plains martial arts world, and you are familiar with him?" "What? This person is a figure in the Central Plains martial arts world, and we are familiar with him?" Wang Yuan, Aju and Abai were all surprised and doubtful when they heard what Xiao Fan said. In their impression, the only familiar and famous people in the martial arts world are Xiao Feng and Mirong Fu. But this Zixia warrior doesn't look like either Xiao Feng or Mirong Fu, right? When Mirong Fu heard what Xiao Fan said, his expression changed slightly, and he said in a cold voice, "Boy, you are talking nonsense. I think you are looking for death." After that, Mirong Fu suddenly turned the blade and attacked Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan said indifferently, "Mirong Fu, I think you are the one looking for death." When Wang Yuan heard what Xiao Fan said, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "What?" Cousin? Aju and Abai also widened their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. Duanu was also very surprised at this time. He never thought that the cousin that Wang Yuan was thinking about, Mirong Fu, who was in the middle of Xiao Feng in the north and Mirong in the south, would actually disguise himself as a Zixia warrior and come to kill him and Wang Yuan. Mirong Fu said in a cold voice, "What Mirong Fu? Don't think that Mirong Fu will come to save you." Mirong Fu deliberately changed the direction, just to make Wang Yuan and the other two think that Xiao Fan's words just now were to use Mirong Fu to deter. "Really?" Xiao Fan chuckled, waved his hand, and a palm wind swept across, easily removing Mirong Fu's facial disguise. Suddenly, Mirong Fu's true face appeared in everyone's sight. "Cousin, is it really you?" What's going on? How can he be the young master? Why is the young master chasing after the cousin?" Wang Yuan, Izu and Abi on the side couldn't help but be shocked when they saw this scene. Xiao Fan's casual palm not only revealed Mirong Fu's disguise, but also directly injured Mirong Fu. There was a faint blood mark on Mirong Fu's cheek. It was the human skin mask that was cut his skin. Even this was the result of Xiao Fan's deliberate restraint. After all, if Mirong Fu was beaten to death directly, it would not be so fun. Mirong Fu's identity was exposed, and he was suppressed by Xiao Fan casually, and his face suddenly became ugly. Wang Yuan said with a painful look on her face, "Cousin, why did you do this?" Chapter 235, Begging for Mercy and Deal. Just now, those Zixia warriors attacked Wang Yuan. If Duanu hadn't helped, Wang Yuan would have fallen into the hands of the Zixia warriors, and might even have been defiled. Thinking of the terrible consequences, Wang Yuan was terrified. But Mirong Fu turned a blind eye to all this. After Duanu killed those Zixia warriors to protect her, Mirong Fu actually stepped forward to force him, which made Wang Yuan even more heartbroken. Is this still the cousin she knew? Seeing that he had been exposed, Mirong Fu's expression changed for a while. After a while, he said stubbornly, "I have my reasons for doing things." In Mirong Fu's heart, the cause of restoring the country is more important than anything else, and women are nothing to him. Moreover, he can easily control Wang Yuan, so he doesn't have to pay attention to his attitude towards Wang Yuan. Wang Yuan's expression was even more miserable when she heard Mirong Fu's words. Aju and Abai looked at each other, and their hearts were slightly cold. Duanu met Mirong Fu for the first time, but he didn't expect it to be in such an occasion. Thinking of Mirong Fu's previous actions, he couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. Such a person, as famous as his elder brother, really disgraced his elder brother's reputation. Duan Yu looked at the somewhat embarrassed Mirong-fu and thought secretly in his heart. Mirong-fu seemed to see through the thoughts of Duan Yu and Wang Yuan, and his face became very ugly. Thinking that all this was because of Xiao Fan's intervention, he couldn't help but hate Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan looked at Mirong-fu's resentful eyes and smiled lightly. Mirong-fu, I advise you to be honest, otherwise, you may not be so lucky next time. Mirong-fu said gloomily, you ruined my good thing, and now you are still bragging. You are really looking for death. Mirong-fu, want to see what ability you have that makes you so rampant. As soon as the voice fell, Mirong-fu directly drew the long sword at his waist, displayed the family swordsmanship, and attacked Xiao Fan. Seeing this, Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. Since you are looking for death, then this young master will fulfill your wish. After the voice fell, Xiao Fan opened his right hand slightly and grabbed in the direction of Mirong-fu. In an instant, an illusory giant hand appeared in the air and grabbed Mirong-fu's long sword. Crack! With a crisp sound, Mirong-fu's long sword was directly crushed into countless pieces of iron and fell to the ground. And this is not over yet. After the illusory giant hand crushed Mirong-fu's long sword, in Mirong-fu's frightened eyes, Mirong-fu was completely covered in the giant hand. With Mirong-fu's strength, he didn't even have the slightest reaction time to fight back or dodge. Then, the illusory giant hand kept tightening, squeezing Mirong-fu's body bones bit by bit. Although Mirong-fu is not the protagonist in the original Tanlong, his character is not comparable to that of ordinary people. With Mirong-fu's character, he couldn't help but scream violently at this moment, which was enough to show how painful he was. Wang Yuan saw Mirong-fu's miserable appearance, and couldn't help but feel a little bit sorry, and said to Xiao Fan, Mr. Xiao, can you please show mercy and spare my cousin's life? Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard Wang Yuan's words, but did not answer. Instead, he looked at Mirong-fu and said lightly, Mirong-fu, do you want to live? While speaking, Xiao Fan temporarily stopped his actions and gave Mirong-fu time to breathe. Mirong-fu was panting while urging his internal force to heal his wounds, and his expression was also changing. I have suffered such humiliation, how can I still live with dignity? No, I want to live, and I must not give up my great cause of restoring my country. At least I have to avenge this first. Taking a deep breath, suppressing the humiliation in his heart, Mirong-fu said, what do you want in exchange for letting me go? Xiao Fan said, it's very simple. There are 2 points. First, after I let you go, you will never be my enemy again. Second, since you look down on Miss Wang, and Miss Aju and Miss Abai, send them 3 to me as maids. As long as you agree to these 2 conditions, I will let you go. When Wang Yuan, Aju and Abai heard what Xiao Fan said, their faces changed slightly, and they subconsciously looked in the direction of Mirong-fu, waiting for his answer. Mirong-fu hesitated for a while, thinking of the consequences of his rejection of Xiao Fan, and finally nodded and said, okay, I promise you, cousin. Young master. When Wang Yuan and Abai heard that Mirong-fu agreed, they immediately looked ashen and cried out in pain. Aju was relatively better, but in her heart, she no longer had any good feelings for Mirong-fu. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, threw the seriously injured Mirong-fu out, and said faintly, get lost. Mirong-fu felt humiliated, looked at Wang Yuan reluctantly, and then quickly fled away. Mirong-fu thought to himself that he would return the humiliation today double in the future. As for the promise to Xiao Fan, Mirong-fu didn't take it to heart at all, just to find an excuse to get away. Wang Yuan looked at Mirong-fu's embarrassed escape, and couldn't help but feel desperate and absent-minded. She sat there blankly, not knowing what she was thinking. Xiao Fan said to Aju on the side, Aju, use the bottle of antidote just now to detoxify Miss Wang. Okay, sir. Aju agreed respectfully, and then walked to Wang Yuan and used the antidote Xiao Fan gave her before to detoxify Wang Yuan. Wang Yuan smelled a pungent odor and soon returned to normal. Great, Miss Wang, You finally recovered. Duan Yu was much happier than Wang Nuiyan herself when he saw Wang Nuiyan recover. Wang Nuiyan said lightly, "What's the use of recovery?" Duan Yu looked at Wang Nuiyan's depressed look, but didn't know how to comfort her for a while. Xiao Fan said lightly at this time, "Miss Wang, don't take what happened just now to heart. I was just joking with you and testing Murong Fu's bottom line. I didn't expect Murong Fu to agree to that rude condition without any consideration. It's really chilling." Wang Nuiyan said, "In this case, can I go back to Manchuo Villa?" Wang Nuiyan originally wanted to leave Manchuo Villa just to find Murong Fu and clear Murong Fu's grievances. Who knew when she saw Murong Fu now, it would be such a scene. Wang Nuiyan couldn't help but regret leaving Manchuo Villa to find Murong Fu. If she hadn't left Manchuo Villa, the image of her cousin in her heart would not be polluted and collapsed. Xiao Fan shrugged and said casually, "Sure, go ahead." "Thank you." Wang Nuiyan thanked Xiao Fan sincerely, and then said to Aju and Abai, "Aju, Abai, will you go back with me?" Abai was slightly moved when she heard what Wang Nuiyan said. Aju said directly, "Mr. Murong has just given me to Mr. Xiao. From now on, I am Mr. Xiao's maid. I have no relationship with Kusa Murong anymore, so there is no reason for me to go back." Wang Nuiyan said, "But didn't Mr. Xiao say that what he said just now was a joke?" Aju said indifferently, "It doesn't matter whether Mr. Xiao is joking or not, but I know that Mr. Murong is not joking. So, Miss Wang, you should go back by yourself." Wang Nuiyan's face changed slightly when she heard this, and then she looked at Abai and asked again, "Abai, what about you?" Chapter 236 I'll give you an opportunity. Abai hesitated for a while, and said to Xiao Fan timidly, "Master Xiao, are you telling the truth? Can I really choose whether to stay or go?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Of course." Abai whispered, I want to go back to you, Master." In the original novel, even at the end, when Murong Fu became a fool, Abai always stayed by Murong Fu's side and was very loyal to him. Xiao Fan was not too surprised to hear Abai's words, and said casually, "Yes, Miss Abai, please do as you please." "Thank you, Master Xiao." Upon hearing this, Abai hurriedly thanked Xiao Fan. Wang Nuiyan also thanked Xiao Fan, and then left with Abai. "Master Xiao, Miss Azut, I'm sorry to leave you." Duan Yu said goodbye to Xiao Fan and Azut, and then hurriedly followed. "Miss Wang, Miss Abai, wait for me." Xiao Fan saw this and shook his head slightly. "Master, where are we going next?" After Duan Yu and his group left, Izu asked Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Have you really thought it through? Are you sure you want to stay with me and not go back to Gosu Yanziwu?" Aju said, "Since you have reached an agreement with Mr. Murong, Aju will naturally be yours." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Since you insist, I won't be polite. Let's go. I'll find you an opportunity first." Aju was a little puzzled when she heard this. Xiao Fan didn't explain anything. He just put his arm around Aju's waist and flew towards Ligosan. In the world of Tanlong Babu, the easiest and safest opportunity is naturally the inheritance of Wu Iozzi of Ligosan. As long as you get the inheritance of Wu Iozzi, even an ordinary person can quickly become a great master in the world of martial arts. Moreover, in the name of Wu Iozzi's descendant, you can gather the power of Xiaoxiao sect, which is enough to dominate the world of martial arts in the world of Tanlong Babu. Xiao Fan's speed was so fast that even with Aju, he quickly arrived at the Deaf and Mute Valley of Ligosan. In the Deaf and Mute Valley, Su Xing sat on a stone platform with the appearance of a deaf-mute. On the mountain wall next to the stone platform, there was a huge blue stone slab with crisscrossing lines carved on it, and there were also black and white chess pieces, which were the Zhenlong chess game left by Wu Iozzi. Su Xing had been studying the chess game for many years, but unfortunately he had not been able to crack it. Seeing Xiao Fan and Azu coming, Su Xing withdrew his gaze from the giant chessboard, looked at the two of them, and his eyes flickered. Xiao Fan glanced at Su Xing and smiled lightly. "Su Xing, you don't have to pretend to be deaf and dumb. I came here this time to send the successor to your Xiaoxiao sect. As for the traitor Ding Chunqiu of the Xiaoxiao sect, we will also clean him up for the Xiaoxiao sect." When Su Xing heard what Xiao Fan said, his expression suddenly changed, and a look of uncertainty flashed in his eyes. but he was a little suspicious of Xiao Fan in his heart. Xiao Fan said, "If you don't say anything, I will take my friend to find Wu Aiazi." Su Xing's mind changed for a while, and finally chose to speak. "Who are you? How do you know the secrets of my Xiaoxiao sect?" Aju was also quite surprised when she saw this scene. The deaf-mute Mr. Su Xing has a great reputation in the martial arts world, and Aju has also heard of him. Aju did not expect that this deaf-mute man would actually pretend. Xiao Fan said casually, "You don't have to worry about how I know it. I naturally have my own way. Now, tell me, do you want to go directly to see your master, or solve this chess game first, and then go to see your master?" Su Xing's eyes lit up when he heard this. "If you can solve this Zhenlong chess game and fulfill my master's wish, my master will certainly be very happy to see you." Xiao Fan said, "Let my friend solve the chess game." "My lord, Aju was stunned when she heard what Xiao Fan said. Although she knew a little about Go, she had no chance of cracking this Zhenlong chess game. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly at Aju, and then chose to send a voice transmission directly. "Don't worry about cracking the chess game. I will help you secretly." Aju received Xiao Fan's voice transmission and said nothing more immediately, saying to Su Xing, "Mr. Su, let's start solving the chess game now." Su Xing said, "Miss, please." Aju nodded slightly, and then walked under the giant chessboard and pretended to study it. At the same time, Xiao Fan used the voice transmission technique to teach Aju how to crack the chess game. Under Xiao Fan's teaching, Aju quickly cracked the Zhenlong chess game. Great! Su Xing was surprised to see the Zhenlong chess game cracked, and a happy smile appeared on his wrinkled face. On the one hand, it was because Su Xing was very fascinated by this Zhenlong chess game, and he couldn't hide his joy when he saw the chess game cracked. On the other hand, it was because of this Zhenlong chess game that was to select the successor for his master Wu Aiazi. Now Aju has passed his master's test and can become the new successor of Xiaoxiao sect, inheriting his master's magic skills, and can seek revenge on Ding Chunqiu in the future. Su Xing walked to the 3 wooden houses on one side of the valley, stretched out his hand to greet the guests, and said to Aju, "Young lady, please come in." Aju's 3 wooden houses were built very strangely, without doors. She didn't know how to get in, let alone what to do in, and subconsciously looked at Xiao Fan next to her. Xiao Fan sent a voice message to Aju, "Just break the wooden door with one palm." In the wooden house is Su Xing's master Wu Aiazi, whose life is almost coming to an end. Now it is time to choose a successor. After you go in, just accept Wu Aiazi's inheritance. Aju nodded slightly, then stepped forward, exerted force with her right palm, and slapped the wooden door with one palm. Xiao Fan was worried that Aju could not split the wooden door with one palm, so he secretly applied a force. With a click, the wooden door was shattered, revealing a dark hole. Aju looked in the direction of Xiao Fan, and then jumped into the hole. Next, Aju had the same experience as Zuju in the original novel. Wu Aiazi took away her internal strength, and then inherited Wu Aiazi's lifelong skills. Finally, after Aju knelt down and paid respect to him, Wu Aiazi finally closed his eyes and passed away with satisfaction. "Master, don't worry. I will definitely avenge you and clean up the mess." Aju bowed solemnly to Wu Aiazi, then stood up and left the wooden house. "Miss, how is it?" Su Xing asked when he saw Aju coming out. Aju said in a low voice, "Master passed on his skills to me, and then he became an immortal." Although they only spent a short time together, Aju was still very grateful to Wu Aiazi. "Master." Su Xing couldn't help but cry out in pain when he heard this. Tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. He rushed to the wooden house and checked Wu Aiazi's body. Soon, Su Xing returned and asked Aju, "What's your name, young lady?" Aju said, "My name is Aju." Su Xing asked, "So it's Miss Aju? Did Master tell Miss Aju anything before he died?" If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237. Sect Leader Xiaoxiao and Fenglai Pavilion's Reaction. Aju did not hide anything and told Su Xing what Wu Aiazi had said to her. After hearing this, Su Xing said to Aju, Miss Aju, please follow me. After saying this, Su Xing walked directly to the wooden house where Wu Aiazi was. Aju hesitated for a moment and followed him. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, followed the two of them, and entered the wooden house. Su Xing saw Xiao Fan following him, hesitated for a moment, and still did not say a word to drive him away. Seeing Wu Aiazi's body, Su Xing immediately knelt on the ground with a thump, kowtowed several times respectfully, and cried out in pain, Master, Master, you finally left your disciple behind. After a while, Su Xing wiped away his tears and stood up, helped up the body of his master Wu Aiazi, leaned against the wall and sat upright, and then said to Aju, Miss Aju, please sit next to my master. Aju heard this and couldn't help but look at Xiao Fan with a look of asking for instructions in her eyes. Go ahead. Xiao Fan nodded slightly to Aju, indicating his agreement. With Xiao Fan's approval, Aju sat on the side of Wu Aiazi's body. Su Xing straightened his burnt clothes, suddenly knelt down to Aju, kowtowed, and said, I, Su Xing, an unworthy disciple of the Ouyao sect, pay my respects to the new head of our sect. Upon hearing this, Aju hurriedly said, Senior Su, please stand up. As she spoke, she was about to help Su Xing up. Su Xing said seriously, Junior sister, you are my master's last disciple, and you are also the head of our sect. Although I am your senior brother, I have to kowtow to you. Etiquette cannot be abolished. Aju made a few more polite remarks to Su Xing, and at Xiao Fan's suggestion, she agreed to succeed the position of the head of the Ouyao sect. Afterwards, Su Xing summoned servants and discussed with Aju about holding a funeral for Wu Aiazi. Xiao Fan saw that there was no point in staying here for the time being, so he said to Aju, you stay here first, and deal with Wu Aiazi's funeral arrangements with Mr. Su. I have some things to do, so I'll leave first and come back in a few days. Yes, young master. Aju naturally had no objection to Xiao Fan's decision and agreed immediately. After Xiao Fan said goodbye to Aju, he left the deafened Mu Valley of Ligu Mountain, and then found a secluded place, and directly returned to the Dqi world through the Wanji chat group. Dqi world. In the original Fengolai North Pavilion's residence, the room of the pavilion master of Fengolai North Pavilion, a flash of light and shadow passed by, and Xiao Fan's figure appeared in the room. Xiao Fan released a powerful soul power to sense it, and soon found Xiao Fan, Ziyan, Han Nu and Han Zu who were busy. As for King Lin, he was guarding the door of his room as usual. Xiao Fan smiled knowingly, pushed open the door and walked out. Young master, King Lin saw Xiao Fan coming out and immediately exclaimed with joy. Xiao Fan rubbed King Lin's head and smiled. Didn't I say that I was just going to retreat temporarily, so I'm not afraid of being disturbed? Why are you still here? King Lin said, I don't have anything else to do anyway, so I'll just wait outside the young master's room and wait for him to come out. Xiao Fan smiled and said nothing more. Let's go find Jian and the others. Not long after, Xiao Fan found Jian, Ziyan, Han Nu and Han Zu. Now, Fengolai North Pavilion has almost been incorporated with the efforts of the four people. Third brother, I suddenly thought of a problem. We have incorporated the people of Fengolai North Pavilion, but it seems a bit bad to continue using the name of Fengolai North Pavilion. After the few people gathered together and chatted for a few words, Jian suddenly thought of something and said to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, you are right. Since we are going to establish a new force in Zhangzhou, we must have our own name. Do you have any ideas? Jian shook his head slightly. I just thought of this question, but I can't think of a suitable name. Let's choose it. Third brother. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, glanced at Jian, pondered for a moment, and said slowly, let's call it the Thunder Flame Sect. Thunder is naturally taken from Xiao Fan's own attributes, and flame comes from Jian. Soon, there will be a situation of two emperors, and the whole Qi continent will surely be excited. The names of Thunder Emperor and Flame Emperor are just right to establish the Thunder Flame Sect. When Jian heard the name, his eyes lit up. This is a good name, but I am taking the name of my third brother. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. With your talent and hard work, I believe that you will be famous in Zhangzhou and even the entire Qi continent in the near future. There is no need to belittle yourself. Jian scratched his head and smiled softly. I hope to borrow the good words of my third brother." The name of Lei Yanzong was decided in this way, and it spread in the northwest of Zhongzhou at a very fast speed. After all, this Lei Yanzong was established by stepping on Fenglai North Pavilion, and it was directly established in the station of Fenglai North Pavilion. Countless people in the northwest region are closely following the movements of Lei Yanzong, and are also waiting for the reaction of the Fenglai Pavilion's top leaders. Fenglai North Pavilion was wiped out by someone, and I believe that the Fenglai Pavilion's top leaders will definitely not give up so easily. Fenglai Pavilion Headquarters. In a magnificent hall, the chief pavilion master of Fenglai Pavilion, Venerable Lei, listened to the report of his subordinates, and his face was extremely ugly. Crack! Venerable Lei subconsciously exerted force with his hands and directly crushed the armrest of the chair. He said coldly, "It seems that my Fenglai Pavilion has been too low-key in recent years. Someone dared to be so presumptuous and directly destroyed the North Pavilion, and even established a new force in the place that originally belonged to the North Pavilion." Pavilion Master, calm down. In the hall, the elders of Fenglai Pavilion saw the appearance of Venerable Lei and hurriedly persuaded him. Venerable Lei said, "Gather people and go to the North Pavilion with me. I want to see who is so bold and dares not take my Fenglai Pavilion seriously." "Yes, Pavilion Master." Hearing this, the others responded respectfully and then went to gather people. When almost all the people were gathered, Venerable Lei directly tore the space to form a temporary space wormhole, and then led the strong men of Fenglai Pavilion through the space wormhole to the original Fenglai North Pavilion. Now the Lian sect. Xiao Fan, who was in the Lian sect, naturally sensed the spatial fluctuations in the air, but he did not take it to heart. After all, with his current 8-star Daishin cultivation strength, even if Emperor Huntian came, he would not necessarily lose. Therefore, Xiao Fan was not worried about anything. Yan, Ziyan, King Lin and others, sensing the spatial fluctuations, also gathered around Xiao Fan, waiting for the people in the space wormhole to come out. Not long after, Venerable Lei led a group of Fenglai Pavilion's strong men out of the space wormhole, staring at Xiao Fan and his group below. "It was you who were so bold that you sneak attacked and destroyed my Fenglai North Pavilion?" Chapter 238, Instant Kill. Zhongzhou is shocked. Xiao Fan and his companions looked in the direction of the sound, and saw that the leader of the group of people from Fenglai Pavilion seemed to be only in his 40s or 50s, but he had a wisp of silver-white beard on his chin. This person was quite tall and wore a silver robe with lightning patterns painted on it. From a distance, he looked like a living thing, constantly flowing, and even faintly, there was a lot of thunder power emanating from it. There was no doubt that this person was Lei Zun's, the master of the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion. At the same time, he was also the chief master of Fenglai Pavilion, a 3-star Zun-level strongman. Behind Lei Zun's, there were also several Zongs and more than a dozen high-level Huangs. If such a team came to the Northwest continent, it could completely sweep across the entire Northwest continent. Of course, that was before the Northwest continent was changed by Xiao Fan. The disciples who originally belonged to the North Wind and Thunder Pavilion changed their expressions slightly when they saw Lei Zun's coming. These days, they have surrendered to Xiao Fan, Yan and others and became disciples of the Lei Yan sect, which is equivalent to betraying the Fenglai Pavilion. If Xiao Fan and the others were defeated by Lei Zun, their fate would be miserable. Lei Zun looked around and said calmly, "Who is Xiao Fan?" Xiao Fan moved slightly, stepped into the air, stood opposite Lei Zun, and said faintly, "This is me." "You are so impatient to come to me. Are you eager to die?" Lei Zun was furious when he heard this, arrogant. "I think it's you who is looking for death." Lei Zun directly used 3,000 thunder movements, and his figure flashed, and he was next to Xiao Fan in an instant, punching Xiao Fan's chest hard. In front of Lei Zun's fist, a terrifying thunder fist shadow was formed directly, and the lightning arc flashed continuously, which looked quite powerful. However, such an attack was not a threat to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, waved his hand casually, and a thunder spear appeared between his palms, piercing Lei Zun's fist. Swish! With a clear sound, the thunder spear instantly pierced through the fist of Lei Zun's, and then, in Lei Zun's frightened eyes, pierced through his chest. Lei Zun's expression changed drastically. His face was full of pain, and he only had time to say one word, and then there was a bang, and he was blown up on the spot by the violent thunder spear. Hiss! Seeing this scene, the people from the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion who followed Lei Zun suddenly changed their faces and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. How is this possible? The pavilion master was actually killed by this person in one move. What is the origin of this person? The people of Lei Yanzang were shocked, but they breathed a sigh of relief. Even the chief pavilion master of Fenglai Pavilion was killed by Xiao Fan, so if they surrendered to Xiao Fan and his group, they would not have to worry about being held accountable, but could say that they had abandoned the dark and joined the light. Xiao Fan ignored the changes in everyone's mind. After dealing with Lei Zun, he looked at the masters of the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion who followed Lei Zun and said lightly, "Do you want to die or live?" "What do you mean?" After hearing Xiao Fan's words, everyone looked at each other for a while. One of the Zong of Fenglai Pavilion asked Xiao Fan hesitantly. Xiao Fan said, "If you want to die, it's very simple. I will send you to follow your pavilion master directly. If you want to live, then from now on, lead everyone in Fenglai Pavilion to join Lei Yanzang and serve Lei Yanzang." After hearing this, everyone's eyes changed for a while. They didn't even know Xiao Fan's identity and origin. They were always a little embarrassed to let them submit to a young man like Xiao Fan. However, thinking that even their chief pavilion master was not Xiao Fan's opponent, they felt that submitting to Xiao Fan seemed to be acceptable. Xiao Fan looked at the changing expressions of the crowd and said calmly, "I will count to 3. If you have not made a decision, I will assume that you are ready to die for Fenglai Pavilion." 1, 2. Xiao Fan had just counted to 2 when all the masters of Fenglai Pavilion bowed to Xiao Fan and said respectfully, "We are willing to submit to you, sir, and join Alliance sect." Between life and dignity, they undoubtedly care more about their own lives. Even the chief pavilion master of the 3-starred Zun realm was killed by Xiao Fan in one move. If they refused to submit, the fate could be imagined. Seeing everyone submit, Xiao Fan nodded with satisfaction. "Very good. From now on, you are all part of the Lian sect. The rules of the Lian sect, as well as your subsequent positions and tasks, will be arranged for you by the deputy sect master. Yanzi, come here." Xiao Fan's last sentence was naturally said to Yan who was standing aside. Hearing Xiao Fan's call, Yan immediately flew up and stood beside Xiao Fan, saying, "Hello, third brother." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "I'll leave these people to you to arrange." "Okay, third brother." Yan nodded and agreed immediately. During this period, Yan had become accustomed to Xiao Fan being a hands-off boss and taking care of everything. After destroying the Lei Zun and subduing a group of masters from the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion, Xiao Fan asked Yan to stay behind, and took Ziyan, Qinglin, Hanu and Hanzu, 4 girls, directly to the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion, and also took the East Pavilion of Fenglai Pavilion into his pocket. After that, the remaining 2 branches of Fenglai Pavilion were also subdued by Xiao Fan. Of course, in this process, there were naturally some stubborn elements, who were directly wiped out by Xiao Fan. However, what surprised Xiao Fan was that during his conquest of Fenglai Pavilion, he did not meet the talented Feng Qinger mentioned in the original book. Xiao Fan only had a slight thought about this, and didn't care too much. In the Qi continent, in the land of Zhangzhou, there are 1 palace, 1 tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 square pavilions, a total of 11 top forces. Fenglai Pavilion is one of the 4 square pavilions. Although Fenglai Pavilion ranks relatively low among these 11 forces, it still has a considerable weight in the entire Zhangzhou. After Fenglai Pavilion was destroyed, or in other words, it was incorporated by Xiao Fan and his group, the news spread throughout Zhangzhou soon. Countless people in Zhangzhou were boiling over it. "Have you heard? Fenglai Pavilion was destroyed." "I heard that even the chief pavilion master of Fenglai Pavilion, Lei Zun, was killed in one move. He is so powerful." "I really don't know who destroyed Fenglai Pavilion. He is so powerful. Fenglai Pavilion has stood in Zhangzhou for many years. I didn't expect that it would be destroyed in such a short time. It's really surprising." "Do you think that the person who destroyed Fenglai Pavilion is from the 8 ancient clans?" "Who knows? However, in addition to the 8 ancient clans, Soul Palace and Dan Tower seem to have the strength to destroy Fenglai Pavilion. Xiao Fan didn't know how much of a sensation he caused in Zhongzhou by destroying Fenglai Pavilion. After completely incorporating Fenglai Pavilion, Xiao Fan planned to temporarily rest, or give Xiao Yan and others some time to let them better build Lei Yan sect. Xiao Fan himself once again immersed his consciousness in the chat group of the 10,000 Worlds. Last time, 2 new members joined the group, and he hasn't signed in yet to the world where the new member, SYNOPSIS, is. Chapter 239 SYNOPSIS Gratitude. Sign in again. The chat interface of the Wanji chat group. Xiao Fan immersed his consciousness in it and casually scanned the messages sent by the group members before. Among them, there were some about Xiao Fan, but most of them were about the newcomers Xiao Fan and SYNOPSIS. Xiaoxiao, the time traveler, told Xiao Fan and SYNOPSIS about their original life trajectories, and both of them were very grateful. However, because he was a new member of the group, he didn't know much about the Wanji chat group, and seemed to be a little hesitant about it. Xiao Fan was about to at SYNOPSIS, but found that SYNOPSIS had at him first. SYNOPSIS, at Xiao Fan, Mr. Xiao, I heard from Ms. Su that you can bring the dead back to life. Is this true? When Xiao Fan saw SYNOPSIS' message, his eyebrows raised slightly. He thought of something in his heart and was about to reply to the message. However, before Xiao Fan, someone replied for him in advance. Huang Rong, at SYNOPSIS, of course it is true. My mother was resurrected by Xiao Fan's brother, Yan Lingjai. Yes, I went to Peach Blossom Island some time ago and saw my aunt. I heard that she died of illness 16 years ago and was resurrected by brother Xiao Fan not long ago. So she still looks as young as before. Xiaoxiao, at SYNOPSIS, Master Xiao is naturally capable of resurrecting the dead, but there are certain conditions. If your brother has been cremated, I'm afraid there is no way. SYNOPSIS, my brother died in a car accident yesterday. His body is still well preserved and has not been cremated and buried. Xiao Fan, at SYNOPSIS, as long as his body is intact, there should be no problem. The specific details can only be confirmed after seeing him in person. SYNOPSIS, really? Great. Master Xiao, are you free? I will invite you to our world now. Xiao Fan, I am free. SYNOPSIS, then I will invite you right now. Please agree. After that, SYNOPSIS directly invited Xiao Fan through the chat group. Xiao Fan, you guys chat first, I'll go to the world where Miss Su is. Xiao Fan sent a message in the chat group, and then accepted SYNOPSIS' invitation, and traveled to the world of the full-time master through the chat group of the 10,000 Worlds. The world of the full-time master, H City. A rental house. SYNOPSIS sat in front of her brother Sumyukiu's bed, looking at Sumyukiu, who was already stiff, with tears in her eyes. Regarding the chat group of the 10,000 Worlds that appeared in her mind, SYNOPSIS didn't completely believe in its mystery. However, now she has no other way, and she can only choose to try it in the end, hoping that this chat group can really be so magical. SYNOPSIS' mind was changing, and suddenly she sensed an illusory mysterious light door in the room. From the light door, a young man in a green shirt, handsome face, and dressed in ancient costume walked out. This is actually true. It seems that my brother is saved. Seeing this scene, SYNOPSIS was immediately excited, and quickly stood up and said to Xiao Fan, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Xiao?" This young man is naturally Xiao Fan from the Qi world. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Yes, I am Xiao Fan. You are Miss SYNOPSIS, right?" SYNOPSIS nodded repeatedly. "Yes, I am SYNOPSIS, please save my brother, Master Xiao." Xiao Fan had just arrived in this world when he found Sumyukiu's body lying on the bed. Hearing SYNOPSIS' words, he nodded slightly. "Wait a moment, I will check on your brother first." After that, Xiao Fan walked directly to the bed and put his hand on Sumyukiu's body. Seeing this, SYNOPSIS, who was standing by, immediately looked at Xiao Fan nervously, her eyes full of expectation. Xiao Fan checked it briefly and soon found that Sumyukiu's internal organs had been greatly damaged. Even if he wanted to revive Sumyukiu, he had to repair his internal organs first. So Xiao Fan directly activated the vitality energy contained in his fighting spirit to repair Sumyukiu's internal organs. Under the effect of that vitality energy, Xiaoxiao's internal organs were quickly restored to a healthy state. Next, Xiao Fan used the resurrection ability of the Sacred Heart Sutra to revive Xiaoxiao. With Xiao Fan's current powerful strength, it would be no problem to revive an ordinary person. A quarter of an hour later, Xiaoxiao, who was originally stiff and dead, was successfully resurrected by Xiao Fan. Xiaoxiao slowly opened his eyes full of confusion, and whispered in a low voice, "Didn't I get hit to death? Where am I? Am I in the underworld?" Xiaoxiao, who was standing by, saw this scene and burst into tears of joy. She quickly threw herself on Xiaoxiao, hugged Xiaoxiao's shoulders, and said excitedly, "Brother, you are really alive, so great." Woo woo. Xiaoxiao seemed to have regained consciousness when he heard Xiaoxiao's voice. He looked around and soon found that this was his room, and he saw his sister again. This made Xiaoxiao sure that he was not dead now. Xiaoxiao asked in confusion, "Sister, I remember I was hit by a car and died. What's going on now? Is it just a nightmare?" Xiaoxiao said, "Brother, it's hard to explain these things at once. Anyway, I had an adventure and met a strange man who saved you from the hands of the King of Hell." As he spoke, Xiaoxiao stood up and introduced Xiao Fan to Xiaoxiao. "Brother, this is the strange man who saved you, Mr. Xiao Fan." Xiaoxiao sat up and said to Xiao Fan, "Thank you, Mr. Xiao, for saving my life." Although Xiaoxiao didn't know what happened specifically, he didn't doubt Xiaoxiao's words or ask any questions in front of Xiao Fan. He planned to ask his sister alone what happened after Xiao Fan left. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Your sister and I are friends. Saving you is just a piece of cake. You don't have to be polite. Since you have woken up, I will not disturb your reunion." Xiaoxiao said hurriedly, "Mr. Xiao, I haven't had time to thank you yet. My ability is limited. I will treat you to a meal to express my gratitude. If I have the ability in the future, I will repay your kindness solemnly." Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, "Your brother has just woken up. You and your sister must have a lot to talk about when you reunite. If you want to treat me to a meal, then do it next time. Forget it this time." After speaking, Xiao Fan walked out of the rental house. Xiaoxiao saw this and hurriedly said, "In that case, I will see you off." Xiao Fan did not refuse Xiaoxiao's kindness. With Xiaoxiao's farewell, he left the rental house. Xiaoxiao watched Xiao Fan leave her sight, and then returned to the rental house to tell her brother the whole story. After Xiao Fan left the rental house, he did not leave in a hurry. Instead, he directly gave the system a sign-in instruction in his heart, and planned to return after completing the sign-in. Chapter 240,000 Chance Umbrella returns to Tanlong. Ding. Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained a growing weapon, the 1000 Chance Umbrella. 1000 Chance Umbrella? Xiao Fan was slightly surprised when he heard the content of the system reward. Xiao Fan remembered that in the world of the King's Avatar, the 1000 Chance Umbrella was a game prop that Xiaoxiao created by using the equipment editor in the Glory game. In the King's Avatar, the 1000 Chance Umbrella can eventually have 12 forms, 2 swords, 1 gun, 2 fighting, 3 priests, 2 mages, and 2 shadows. Each form can have a strong amplification effect on physical attacks and spell attacks. Xiao Fan didn't expect that he would sign in a game prop this time. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he took out the 1000 Chance Umbrella from the system space and studied it carefully for a while. Soon, Xiao Fan had a detailed understanding of the 1000 Chance Umbrella rewarded by the system. This 1000 Chance Umbrella is many times stronger than the game prop in the world of the King's Avatar. The 1000 Chance Umbrella awarded by the system can be transformed into any weapon form in the universe, and the power of each form can be doubled compared to normal weapons of the same type. For example, when the 1000 Chance Umbrella is transformed into a sword form, its power is directly double compared to swords of the same level. Xiao Fan checked and found that the current 1000 Chance Umbrella is at the same level as a holy weapon, and it has the possibility of unlimited growth. As Xiao Fan's strength increases, the power of the 1000 Chance Umbrella can also be further increased. Interesting. Is this a game prop materialized in reality? Xiao Fan whispered in his heart, put away the 1000 Chance Umbrella, and his mind moved slightly. He returned to the Chi world through the chat group of the 10,000 worlds. Qi World. Lei Yanzong. Under the leadership of Xiao Yan, Zhu Yan, King Lin, Han Yu and Han Zhu, the people of Lei Yanzong now barely have a sense of belonging. In other words, they dare not have any other thoughts at all. Although Xiao Fan was not there, Xiao Yan, Zhu Yan and King Lin, after taking the Jinjinui pill, also possessed Zun-level strength. How dare they not be honest? Young master, are you done? Han Zhu seemed to have learned from King Lin. This time, she directly waited outside Xiao Fan's room, and when Xiao Fan came out, she immediately went to greet him. Xiao Fan smiled and nodded. Well, it's just a small matter, it's done. During this period of time, the relationship between Xiao Fan and the sisters Han Yu and Han Zhu has become very close, and there is only one last step left. Xiao Fan looked at Han Zhu, pondered for a moment, and took out the Jinjinui pill. With your current strength, you are still a little weak in Zhangzhou. This pill should give you some self-protection power. Thank you, young master. Han Zhu didn't know how precious this pill was. After hearing Xiao Fan's words, she thanked him and happily took the pill. Xiao Fan asked Han Zhu to take it directly on the spot and began to practice refining and absorbing it. After Han Zhu entered the state of cultivation, Xiao Fan thought about it, found Han Yu again, and also gave Han Yu a Jinjinui pill. Afterwards, Han Yu also began to practice in seclusion. Although the qualifications of these two sisters are not top-notch, they are still pretty good. Now they have the help of Jinjinui pill, a spiritual pill, and their future prospects can be imagined. When Han Yu and Han Zhu were in seclusion, Xiao Fan also personally came out several times, and together with Yan and others, he integrated and reorganized the Lei Yan sect. Originally, the Fenglai Pavilion was divided into 4 sub-pavilions. Xiao Fan directly gave up the 2 southwest areas, concentrated everyone in the original East Pavilion and North Pavilion, and directly connected the 2 areas. In this process, the various forces in Zhangzhou once again witnessed the power of the Lei Yan sect. 7 days passed in a flash. Han Yu and Han Zhu, who had been in seclusion for 7 days, came out of seclusion almost at the same time. Under the effect of the Jinjinui pill, the 2 sisters all broke through to the realm of 3-starred Zun. Am I dreaming? Sensing her current cultivation level, Han Zhu couldn't help but widen her eyes and spoke in disbelief. Han Yu was also extremely shocked at this moment. Xiao Fan only told them that the pill could improve their strength and give them some self-protection power, but he didn't say that the improvement effect of this pill was so amazing. 3-star Zun strength. Is this just some self-protection power mentioned by Xiao Fan? You know, the leader of Fenglai Pavilion, Lei Zun, who had suppressed the Han family before, was only a 3-star Zun. The 2 sisters just took a pill, practiced in seclusion for 7 days, and they ascended to the realm of Lei Zun in 1 step. This is too shocking. Han Yu took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in her heart, and said in a deep voice, "This is not a dream. It only proves that the elixir given to us by the young master is more precious than we can imagine. We are afraid that we will never be able to repay the young master for this great kindness." Han Zhu giggled. Then let's give both of us sisters to the young master to repay his kindness. Isn't this also what father and you want? Sister, don't think I don't know anything. Han Yu glared at Han Zhu and warned, don't say such things casually. Whether we can become a family with the young master, everything will go with the flow. Han Zhu stuck out her tongue. Don't worry, I'm just talking to you, sister. The 2 sisters talked and laughed for a while, and then they found Xiao Fan again and expressed their gratitude to him. Xiao Fan didn't say anything too polite. In Xiao Fan's heart, Han Yu and Han Zhu were already his own people, and it was reasonable to give them some benefits. What's more, Xiao Fan still has a lot of Jinjinui pills. After Han Yu and Han Zhu broke through, Xiao Fan asked them to continue to work with Yan and others to arrange the affairs of the Lei Yan sect. Xiao Fan himself once again traveled to the Tanlong Babu world through the Wanji chat group. The last time Xiao Fan came to the Tanlong Babu world, he brought Aju to the Definmu Valley of Ligu Mountain. After inheriting Wu Iazi's inheritance, Aju stayed to handle Wu Iazi's funeral, and Xiao Fan returned early. Now that these days have passed, Wu Aizi's funeral must have been completed long ago. Xiao Fan also planned to take Aju to the Lingjiu Palace of Danshan Mountain and bring the Lingjiu Palace of Piomiao Peak back to the Xiaoyao sect, just to kill time. However, the first time Xiao Fan traveled to the Danlong Babu world, he did not land beside Aju, but landed beside Xiao Feng, who was also a member of the chat group. As soon as Xiao Fan landed in the Danlong Babu world, he sensed a very chaotic and fierce battle. One of the parties in the battle was Xiao Feng. Xiao Fan looked around and quickly saw the situation around him. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. Chapter 241 Kill the enemy easily and scare the heroes. There were 200 or 300 martial artists surrounding Xiao Feng, surrounding him and attacking him almost at the same time. Among those people, there were people from Shilin sect, Beggar sect, etc. Almost most of the people in the martial arts world gathered. At this moment, not far from Xiao Feng, there were 2 men who looked quite similar, each holding a round shield in his left hand, a short gun in his right hand, and a single sword. The 2 men whistled, protected themselves with round shields, and attacked Xiao Feng from the left and right. This scene seems to be the heroes' assembly in Xiaoxiao. When Xiao Fan saw this scene, he couldn't help but guess secretly in his heart. In fact, Xiao Fan's guess was right. This place was Xiaoxiao. Just like in the original book, the 2 heroes of the Yu family gathered the best players in the martial arts world and gathered in Xiaoxiao to surround and kill Xiao Feng. But Xiao Feng was not afraid at all and really came to Xiaoxiao. Xiao Fan was surprised, and the heroes in Xiaoxiao were even more surprised at this moment. Suddenly, an illusory mysterious light gate appeared in the air, and Xiao Fan walked out of the mysterious light gate and descended into the manor step by step. Seeing this scene, all the people in the martial arts world were stunned. Many people subconsciously stopped attacking Xiao Feng and retreated to the back, looking at Xiao Fan with curiosity and a bit of awe. Who is this person? How could he fall from the sky? Could it be that there is another world above the 9 heavens? Could this person be an immortal from the 9 heavens? I think he is just very powerful and this is just a deliberate trick. The idea of him being an immortal is really absurd. Xiao Fan ignored everyone's thoughts, came to Xiao Feng, and said with a faint smile, "Master Xiao, what's going on? Didn't you go to find your father?" Xiao Feng smiled bitterly and said, "I went to Shaolin Temple to find my father, but unfortunately I didn't find him. Moreover, on the day I rushed to Shaolin Temple, my mentor, Master Xuanku, happened to be killed, and Shaolin Temple was convinced that I was the one who killed him. Not only my master, but also my adoptive father and mother were killed." Xiao Feng, don't pretend. "That's right, you beast who killed your master and father. Stop quibbling." "Young master, don't be fooled by Xiao Feng. Yes, this Xiao Feng is a kitten thief, with wolfish ambitions and worse than beasts. Don't be fooled by his previous reputation." The heroes in Xiaoxian manor shouted loudly after hearing what Xiao Feng said. In their hearts, they have already determined that Xiao Feng is the murderer who killed Xuanku and Qiao Sanhui and his wife. Xiao Fan glanced at everyone, and everyone was immediately frightened and subconsciously stopped making noise. There was a little more awe in their eyes when they looked at Xiao Fan. After everyone quieted down, Xiao Fan said lightly, "Did any one of you see Xiao Feng kill Master Xuanku and his adoptive parents with your own eyes?" Hearing this, everyone looked at each other, and no one stepped forward to answer for a while. On the one hand, none of them saw Xiao Feng kill anyone. On the other hand, they were a little afraid of Xiao Fan and did not dare to step forward rashly. After the crowd was quiet for a while, Juan Nan from Shilin Temple stood up and said, "Amitabha, benefactor, many people in my Shilin Temple saw Xiao Feng break into Shilin Temple at night, and, before his death, senior brother Xuanku personally identified Xiao Feng. This matter is definitely true." Xiao Fan sneered, "It can only be said that Xuanku and you are old and blurry. To tell you the truth, the murderer who killed Xuanku and Qiao Sanhui and his wife was not Xiao Feng at all, but the kitten master who was killed by Shilin and Beggar gang masters 30 years ago, that is, Xiao Feng's biological father." Wow! Hearing Xiao Fan's words, everyone in Xiaoxian manor was in an uproar, especially the one who called himself Qian Sun Li. His face changed drastically, and his body trembled subconsciously. He was really scared by Zhu Yuanzhang's ferocity back then. "No, Qian," Sun Yanli said in a stern voice, "you are talking nonsense." The kitten warrior clearly fell off a cliff and died. Boss Wang, Master Zhigang and Abbot Xuanzi all witnessed this incident with our own eyes. How could he still be alive? Xiao Feng was also very surprised and said in pain, "Master Xiao Fan, are you telling the truth? My master and adoptive parents were all killed by my biological father?" Xiao Fan said calmly, "Of course it's true." Upon hearing this, everyone in Juxian Manor fell silent. After a while, Yu Ji, one of the two heroes of the Yu family, sneered, "Young master, you didn't come here just to exonerate Xiao Feng, did you?" Finding a trump-two person to take the blame for Xiao Feng, "Isn't that treating all the heroes in the world as fools?" Yu Ji immediately said, "If this young master is just deceived by Xiao Feng, it would be fine, but if he knows Xiao Feng's beastly behavior and still helps Xiao Feng to exonerate him, I'm afraid we can only offend him." Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows when he heard this, looked at the two heroes of the Yu family, and smiled lightly. "Offend? How do you want to offend me? Why not try it?" Yu Ju said, "It seems that you are in the same group with Xiao Feng and are exonerating Xiao Feng. Then don't blame us for being rude." As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Ju held a shield in his left hand and a knife in his right hand, and slashed at Xiao Fan with a knife. "You're courting death." Xiao Fan saw Yu Ju's actions, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and he spoke coldly. As soon as the voice fell, Xiao Fan casually waved his hand, and an invisible palm print instantly slapped Yu Ju's body, directly slapping him heavily on the floor, and instantly turned into a pool of meat paste. Hiss! Seeing this scene, the heroes in Juxian Manor couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and their hearts were extremely frightened. Several elders of the beggar gang, Juanan and others from Shilan Temple also changed their expressions, and their eyes were full of deep fear when they looked at Xiao Fan. Second brother, Yu Ji was stunned when he saw Yu Ju being slapped into meat paste by Xiao Fan. After reacting, he immediately cried out in grief, and his eyes were filled with tears. "Asshole, you killed my second brother, I want you to be buried with him," Yu Ji shouted, holding a shield in one hand and a gun in the other, and also attacked Xiao Fan brazenly. In shock and anger, Yu Ji ignored the gap between him and Xiao Fan, which was like a chasm. When Xiao Fan read the original novel, he had no good feelings towards the two heroes of the Yu family who were indiscriminate and only wanted to become famous. He even felt disgusted. At this moment, seeing Yu Ji attacking him after Yu Ju, he immediately slapped him with his palm without any hesitation. Bang! With a loud bang, Yu Ji was also slapped to the ground by Xiao Fan and turned into a pool of meat paste. "Dad!" At this moment, a somewhat sad cry suddenly came from behind the giant pillar on the side of Juxian Manor. A young figure rushed from behind the pillar to the location of Yu Ji's body. When the other people in Juxian Manor saw Xiao Fan casually kill the two heroes of the Yu family, their expressions changed constantly, and they were shocked and angry, but no one dared to be the first to speak out. After all, they didn't want to end up like the two heroes of the Yu family. After Xiao Fan dealt with the two heroes of the Yu family, he said lightly, "I have a bad temper. If anyone wants to attack me, just come on. I will not show mercy to you like Xiao Feng. But now, I will find the murderer who killed Zhuan Ku first to prove that what I said is true." After he finished speaking, Xiao Fan slightly opened his right hand, and suddenly an illusory big hand formed, grabbing towards a roof position on the backside of Juxian Manor. Chapter 242 The Truth. Good show. The next moment, in the shocked eyes of everyone, the illusory hand quickly retracted. However, in the middle of the hand, there was a figure wearing black clothes and a black mask on his head. This figure in black was Zhu Yuanzhang, who had been hiding in the dark and observing. Zhu Yuanzhang never thought that Xiao Fan would actually discover his existence and easily grab him. He struggled desperately but could not get rid of the illusory hand. Everyone in Juxian Manor looked at the figure caught in the illusory hand by Xiao Fan, and their expressions changed. They fought with Xiao Fan here, but they didn't expect that someone was hiding in the dark and watching their fight. So many people didn't even notice that there was someone hiding in the dark. This is simply a shame for them. Xiao Fan placed Zhu Yuanzhang next to Xiao Feng, and tore off Zhu Yuanzhang's mask in midair, saying lightly, "Look carefully, This man is Zhu Yuanzhang, the kitten warrior who was killed by Zhuanzi and Wang Jiantong outside Yanmen past 30 years ago. He is also Xiao Feng's father. You regard Xiao Feng as the murderer just because they look exactly the same. In fact, Xiao Fan didn't need to say much. After seeing Zhu Yuanzhang's face, everyone almost confirmed his relationship with Xiao Feng. In fact, Zhu Yuanzhang and Xiao Feng's appearance are just like cards from the same mold. Xiao Feng was also slightly stunned when he saw Zhu Yuanzhang, and looked at Zhu Yuanzhang and said, "Are you really my father?" Zhu Yuanzhang said casually, "Yes, I am your father. You and I look exactly the same. How can it be fake? And, look at this." As he spoke, Zhu Yuanzhang ripped and tore open his clothes on his chest, revealing the wolf head tattoo on his chest. Xiao Feng also tore open his clothes on his chest, revealing an identical wolf head tattoo. "It's him, it's really him, he's not dead." Zhao Qiansun, who was in the crowd, saw Zhu Yuanzhang appear, and his expression suddenly changed. He was terrified, screamed, and kept backing away, trying to stay away from Zhu Yuanzhang. Zhao Qiansun was really scared by Zhu Yuanzhang's ferocity. Granny Tan reached out to support Zhao Qiansun and comforted him. "Brother, there are so many heroes in Juxian Manor, we don't have to be afraid of him." With Granny Tan's comfort, Zhao Qiansun's expression eased a little, but there was still fear in his eyes. Zhu Yuanzhang glanced at Zhao Qiansun lightly, but he didn't take him to heart. At this time, Xiao Feng asked Zhu Yuanzhang, "Dad, Master Xiao Fan just said that you killed my mentor Zhuanku, as well as my adoptive parents. Is this true?" When Zhuannan of Xiaolin Temple, Elder Wu Qingfeng of the Beggar Gang and others heard Xiao Feng's question to Zhu Yuanzhang, they all looked at Zhu Yuanzhang with flickering expressions in their eyes. Zhu Yuanzhang nodded and said, "Yes, I killed them all." When Xiao Feng heard what Zhu Yuanzhang said, his face turned pale and he said painfully, "Dad, why did you kill them?" Zhu Yuanzhang said indifferently, "Humphrey, Zhuanku was instructed by Zhuanzi and others to teach you to be a complete song person, to put the interests of the song people first, and to let you and the kitten people kill each other. How can I forgive such a hateful person? As for Qiao Sanhui and his wife, they have taken away my family happiness and refused to tell you the truth. They deserve to die." Xiao Feng was speechless for a while after hearing this, but he felt very uncomfortable in his heart and did not agree with Zhu Yuanzhang's words. But no matter what, Zhu Yuanzhang is his biological father. This is an unchangeable fact. If other people killed his mentor and adoptive parents, Xiao Feng would definitely find the murderer to avenge them. But facing his biological father Zhu Yuanzhang, Xiao Feng had no way. He couldn't kill his own father, right? This situation, for Xiao Feng, is an unsolvable situation. After listening to Zhu Yuanzhang's words, the heroes of the rivers and lakes in Juxian Manor also understood the truth about the death of Zhuanku and Qiao Sanhui and their husband and wife, and understood that they had wronged Xiao Feng. However, it is obviously impossible to ask them to apologize to Xiao Feng, a kitten. At most, they will not surround and kill Xiao Feng for the time being. So, everyone quickly turned their target to Zhu Yuanzhang. Amitabha. Zhuannan put his hands together and chanted the Buddha's name. Then he took a step forward and said to Zhu Yuanzhang, "Old donor Zhao, since you have admitted that it was you who killed my senior brother Zhuanku and Qiao Sanhui and his wife, then follow me back to Xiaolin Temple and accept the decision of the abbot." Ha ha ha. Zhu Yuanzhang laughed out loud when he heard it, and after laughing for a while, he said coldly, "What you said is simply bullshit. I am not a monk from your Xiaolin Temple. Why should I accept the decision of the Xiaolin abbot? 30 years ago, Xiaolin abbot Zhuanzi and beggar gang leader Wang Jiantong led people outside Yanmen Pass to kill our family of 3, killing my wife and separating me from my son for 30 years. I only learned the truth recently, and I am preparing to go to Xiaolin Temple to seek revenge on that old bald donkey Zhuanzi." Zhuannan put his hands together and said in a deep voice, "In that case, we can't let you leave. Let's help Master Zhuannan to capture this kitten thief." "Yes, with so many of us, I don't believe we can't catch that old kitten thief." "Yes, let's all attack together. We must not let this old kitten thief leave." After Zhuannan finished speaking, the other so-called heroes in Juxian Manor also shouted. Zhu Yuanzhang smiled coldly, It's a foolish dream for you to keep me here. Since you want to die, I can help you. After that, Xiao Yuanzhang took a stance, as if he was going to kill people. Seeing this, Xiao Fan hurriedly persuaded him, "Dad, we should leave first, and don't get too entangled with them, otherwise, we might get hurt in the battle with these people, which might delay revenge for my mother." Xiao Fan had lived in the Song dynasty for 30 years and had deep feelings for the Song dynasty. In addition, there were still many of his former brothers and friends in Zhuxian Manor, so he really couldn't bear to let them kill people. Of course, Xiao Fan would not let these people kill his father. So, Xiao Fan thought about leaving this place directly with his father to avoid fighting with these people. After hearing what Xiao Fan said, Xiao Yuanzhang hesitated for a moment and nodded, saying, "You are right." Then we, father and son, will fight together. Immediately, Xiao Yuanzhang and Xiao Fan, father and son, rushed out to the gate of Zhuxian Manor. Xiao Fan watched Xiao Yuanzhang and his son fighting with a group of martial artists from the Song dynasty, but he did not intervene. He just thought he was watching a live show. This unique battle was indeed many times more exciting than the film and television effects he had seen in his previous life. The strength of Xiao Fan and his son can be said to be extremely strong in the world of Tanlong Babu. With the father and son joining forces, Xoanan and others could not stop them at all. Not long after, Xiao Yuanzhang and Xiao Fan, father and son, fought their way out of the siege and left Zhuxian Manor. Seeing that the show was over, Xiao Fan moved slightly and left Zhuxian Manor, heading towards the deaf and mute valley of Ligu Mountain. The heroes in Zhuxian Manor were left alone, looking at the mess of Zhuxian Manor with sorrow on their faces. Chapter 243 Xiao Fan's Gratitude. Heading to Xingxi sect. "Young master, please stay." Xiao Fan left Zhuxian Manor and was about to use space shuttle to go directly to Ligu Mountain, a deaf and mute valley, but a familiar voice came to his ears. Xiao Fan paused and saw Xiao Fan and Xiao Yuanzhang standing not far from him. "Master Xiao, is there anything else?" Xiao Fan looked at Xiao Fan and smiled. Xiao Fan had a good impression of Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan clasped his fists towards Xiao Fan and said, "Thank you, Master Xiao Fan, for clearing up all my confusions and preventing me from wandering around in the martial arts world like a headless fly." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "It's just a small matter. You're welcome." By the way, I remember one more thing. The reason why Zhuanzi and Wang Jiantan wanted to kill your father was because there was a villain who deliberately lied that your father was going to Xiaolin Temple to steal all kinds of martial arts skills. Xiao Fan clasped his fists and said, "Please tell me who that villain is. Xiao Fan will be grateful." When Xiao Yuanzhang heard what Xiao Fan said, his expression changed slightly, and he hated the villain who lied about the news. Xiao Fan said, "The villain who lied about the news is named Mirongbo, the previous head of the Gersa Mirong family. Mirongbo, I heard that he is dead." Xiao Fan heard this and felt a little regretful that he could not kill him personally to avenge himself. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. Mirongbo just faked his death to escape back then. Over the years, he and your father have been lurking in the Xiaolin Temple, secretly learning the 72 unique skills of the Xiaolin Temple. "What? That man is the culprit who killed my wife and separated me and Fanger?" When Xiao Yuanzhang heard Xiao Fan's words, he immediately recalled the gray-robed monk he met in the Xiaolin Temple, and his face was full of anger. Upon seeing this, Xiao Fan asked Xiao Yuanzhang, "Dad, have you met Mirongbo?" Xiao Yuanzhang said, "In Xiaolin Temple, I met a man who was secretly learning Xiaolin skills like me. If nothing unexpected happens, it must be that villain Mirongbo." Xiao Fan nodded and said, "You are right, that man is Mirongbo. Your enemies who are still alive are only Zhuanzi, Xiao Qiansum, Ziyang and Mirongbo. If you want revenge, go ahead, but it's best not to kill innocent people." Upon hearing this, Xiao Fan hurriedly said, "Don't worry, young master Xiao. We father and son will never kill innocent people." "Of course I believe what you said, Hero Xiao." Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and then said, "I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. See you again if we're lucky." After that, Xiao Fan thought about it, and in front of Xiao Fan and his son, he tore the space apart casually, and traveled through the space to go to the deaf and mute valley of Ligusan Mountain. Xiao Yuanzhang was shocked when he saw this scene, thinking of the time when he was caught by an illusory hand from Xiao Fan and had no power to resist. he could not help but be afraid of Xiao Fan. Zhu Yuanzhang asked Xiao Fan, "Finger, who is this young master Xiao Fan?" Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and said, "Young master Xiao Fan does not actually belong to our world. It is not an exaggeration to call him an immortal." Xiao Fan was also a little worried that Zhu Yuanzhang would kill innocent people, so he deliberately said this to use Xiao Fan to intimidate Zhu Yuanzhang. On the other side, Xiao Fan naturally did not know about the conversation between Xiao Fan and his son after he left. If you use the space shuttle magic to go to a new place, there may be some deviations, but if you use the space shuttle to go to a place like the Deaf and Mute Valley where Xiao Fan has been, you can reach it accurately by using the space shuttle. In the Deaf and Mute Valley, Su Xing and several of his men were worshipping Wu Iazi with Aju. Suddenly, everyone saw a space crack suddenly appear above the Deaf and Mute Valley, and they were all shocked. As everyone was in doubt, the space crack gradually formed a portal, and Xiao Fan walked out of the portal. "Young master, you're back." Seeing Xiao Fan coming, Aju's expression relaxed immediately, and he quickly went to greet him. Su Xing and his men saw that it was Xiao Fan who walked out of the space hole, and their eyes were full of awe when they looked at Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan nodded to Aju. "Yes, I came back after the work was done. Nothing happened to you during this period, right? Did Ding Chunqiu find us here?" Aju shook her head and said, "It's very peaceful here, and Ding Chunqiu didn't come to us." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "How about this? I just happen to have some time. I will take you directly to Xingxiu to find Ding Chunqiu, kill him to avenge Wu Iazi, and also clean up the door for Xiaoxiao sect." Hearing what Xiao Fan said, Su Xing hurriedly said, "If Mr. Xiao can kill that beast Ding Chunqiu for Xiaoxiao sect, you will be the benefactor of Xiaoxiao sect from now on." Xiao Fan smiled faintly. "I don't care about being the benefactor of Xiaoxiao sect. I am willing to help only because of Aju. Besides, I don't have to do anything. With Aju's current strength, she should be able to clean up the door herself." Aju smiled sweetly when she heard it. "Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Let's go." Xiao Fan didn't say much, and took Aju directly, leaving the Deaf and Dumb Valley of Ligu Mountain and heading towards the Qinghai Xingxiu sect. With Xiao Fan's speed, even without space travel, he could quickly take Aju to the Xingxiu sect. Just before the two arrived at the gate of the Xingxiu sect, they saw a purple-clothed girl tiptoeing out of the Xingxiu sect. The girl looked about 15 or 16 years old, with a pair of big black eyes and a smart face. When Xiao Fan saw the girl, his eyebrows slightly raised. Judging from the girl's appearance, she should be Aju's sister Azi. The first time Aju saw the girl, she suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of intimacy in her heart. "Who are you? What are you doing in the Xingxiu sect?" When Azi saw Xiao Fan and Aju, her black eyes rolled around and she asked vigilantly. Xiao Fan said calmly, "We are here to look for the old monster Ding Chunqiu of Xingxiu sect. Judging from your appearance, you should also be a disciple of Xingxiu sect, right? Do you know if Ding Chunqiu is in Xingxiu sect?" Azi rolled her eyes and asked cautiously, "Why are you looking for Ding Chunqiu? Are you friends or enemies with him?" Although Azi was Ding Chunqiu's disciple, she had no feelings for Ding Chunqiu. She had to first determine the relationship between the two and Ding Chunqiu before deciding how to answer their questions. Aju said, "Ding Chunqiu is a traitor to our sect. I am here to clean up the sect this time, but don't worry, I won't take my anger out on you because of Ding Chunqiu. Ding Chunqiu is now in seclusion to practice the Huagong Dafa. He is very powerful. I think you should leave quickly, lest he finds you and you can't leave even if you want to." Azi felt much more relaxed after hearing this, and kindly reminded them, and then said, "I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Don't tell them that you have seen me." After that, Azi tiptoed away without looking back. The reason why Azi was so cautious was because she stole Ding Chunqiu's Divine Wood King Cauldron while Ding Chunqiu was practicing in seclusion, and she was worried that she would be caught by Ding Chunqiu. Xiao Fan looked at Azi's back, smiled and shook his head, and said to Aju, "Let's go. Let's go in." "Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Xingxiu sect?" As soon as the two entered the Xingxiu sect, a loud shout was heard. At the same time, more than a dozen Xingxiu sect disciples rushed out quickly and surrounded the two. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Fear. Clean up the house. Xiao Fan glanced around casually and saw that all of the Xiaoxiao disciples were dressed in strange clothes. Some of them had tattoos on their faces and their expressions were sinister. They were not decent people at first glance. Xiao Fan said indifferently, "Let your master Ding Chunqiu come out and say that the new leader of the Xiaoxiao sect has come to clean up the sect. How dare you disrespect my master? I think you are looking for death." Xiaoxiao, the eldest brother, heard Xiao Fan's words and showed a sinister smile on his face. He said coldly, "My fellow disciples, who will take down this lunatic?" Xiaoxiao's second half of the sentence was naturally said to all the disciples of Xiaoxiao sect. "Big brother, I'll do it." Hearing Xiaoxiao's words, Chuchenzi shouted, urged his internal force, formed a green flame in his palm, and suddenly attacked Xiao Fan. "Don't overestimate your own abilities." Xiao Fan shook his head slightly when he saw this, and waved his hand casually, suddenly sending out a thunder force, which instantly struck Chuchenzi. Chuchenzi only had time to let out a scream before he was soon chopped into charcoal by the power of thunder. As for the green flame he emitted, it was extinguished in an instant. When the people of Xiaoxiao sect saw this scene, their faces suddenly changed drastically, and their eyes looking at Xiao Fan were full of fear. Although Chuchenzi was not the strongest among the disciples of Xiaoxiao sect, his strength was not too weak. Among them, except Xiaoxiao, no one else was absolutely sure that they could kill Chuchenzi. Not to mention that Xiao Fan killed Chuchenzi so easily. And Xiao Fan's method of summoning thunder also made them feel terrified. Even Xiaoxiao put away his contempt at this moment, and looked at Xiao Fan with a solemn look in his eyes. "It seems that you are here to cause trouble for Xiaoxiao sect," Xiao Fan said lightly. "If you think so, it's okay." Xiaoxiao rolled his eyes and shouted to the Xiaoxiao sect disciples behind him, "Everyone come together. I don't believe that this person can deal with so many people at the same time." Xiaoxiao, as the eldest brother of Xiaoxiao sect, still has some majesty. When everyone heard Xiaoxiao's words, they immediately suppressed their fear and carefully surrounded Xiao Fan and Zhu. Xiaoxiao himself did not go forward directly. Seeing that everyone had already attacked Xiao Fan and Zhu, he shouted, "You fight with this person first, I will go to find master." After that, Xiaoxiao turned around and quickly went to the inside of Xiaoxiao sect. Seeing this, the Xiaoxiao sect disciples immediately cursed Xiaoxiao in their hearts. But at this moment they could only bite the bullet and continue. Xiao Fan looked at the people of Xiaoxiao sect, smiled faintly, and said to Zhu beside him, "You can practice with these people first, but be careful of them using poison." "Yes, young master." Zhu heard this and respectfully agreed, immediately blocked in front of Xiao Fan and took the initiative to attack those Xiaoxiao sect disciples. Although Zhu did not have much experience in fighting, she inherited the skills of Wu Izi for 60 or 70 years, and her cultivation was far better than that of Ding Chunqiu. There was a huge gap between these useless disciples of Ding Chunqiu and Zhu. Xiao Fan watched from the side without intervening, but Zhu alone knocked down all the Xiaoxiao sect disciples. However, Zhu was kind-hearted and did not kill them, but only severely injured them and lost their fighting power. "How dare you!" Zhu had just knocked down all the Xiaoxiao sect disciples when an angry shout came from inside the Xiaoxiao sect. As the voice fell, a burly old man suddenly flew towards Zhu from the interior of the Xiaoxiao sect, waving a feather fan in his left hand and slapping Zhu's shoulder with his right hand. The old man had flowing silver hair, a long beard over his shoulders, and was dressed in gorgeous clothes. He looked like an immortal. There was no doubt that this old man was the Xiaoxiao old monster Ding Chunqiu who pushed Wu Izi off the cliff, rebelled against the Xiaoxiao sect, and founded the Xiaoxiao sect. Ding Chunqiu was originally in seclusion to practice the Huagong Dafa, and suddenly saw the eldest disciple Xiaoxiao break in, and learned from Xiaoxiao that a strong enemy was attacking. In particular, Xiaoxiao's mention of the new leader of the Xiaoxiao sect coming to clean up the sect hit Ding Chunqiu's sore spot. Ding Chunqiu immediately came out of seclusion, wanting to see who was the new leader of the Xiaoxiao sect and dared to take him to establish his authority. As soon as he arrived here, Ding Chunqiu saw that Aju had knocked down all his disciples. He was immediately furious and attacked Aju directly. To be cautious, Ding Chunqiu swung the feather fan in his left hand and secretly sprinkled poison powder. The right hand was out and the left hand was poisoning. If someone was not familiar with him, it would be easy to fall into his trick if he was not careful. Xiao Fan recognized Ding Chunqiu at a glance, and naturally knew Ding Chunqiu's methods. He was worried that Aju would be in trouble, so he said, "Aju, you step back, I will do it." After saying that, Xiao Fan moved slightly, and instantly blocked Aju and Ding Chunqiu. The 5 fingers of his right hand opened, forming an illusory big handprint, and grabbed Ding Chunqiu. Bang! With a muffled sound, the feather fan in Ding Chunqiu's left hand was directly crushed, and then his right hand was broken on the spot. The big handprint continued to move, and soon it held Ding Chunqiu in the palm of the illusory big hand. "Asshole, who are you?" Ding Chunqiu was captured by Xiao Fan in one move, and his face suddenly changed. He shouted loudly, but he was terrified in his heart. Ding Chunqiu thought that he had no rivals in the world with his own cultivation strength. But he never thought that there would be such an absurdly strong person as Xiao Fan, especially Xiao Fan's attack method. He had never seen or heard of it before. The Xiaoxiao sect disciples who were knocked to the ground by Aju originally saw Ding Chunqiu rushing out and thought that he could avenge them. If they were not so seriously injured, they would have boasted to Ding Chunqiu as usual. But what they never expected was that Ding Chunqiu, who was invincible in their eyes, could not even withstand a single move in Xiao Fan's hands. This is too unbelievable. For them, it was like a dream. Xiaoxiao, who had just arrived deep inside the Xiaoxiao sect to report the news to Ding Chunqiu, was also hiding in the dark to check the situation. When he saw Ding Chunqiu being captured by Xiao Fan, his eyelids also twitched, and he tiptoed back, wanting to escape from this place while Xiao Fan didn't notice him. As for saving his master, or avenging Ding Chunqiu, Xiaoxiao had never thought about such things. Xiao Fan ignored everyone's thoughts and turned a deaf ear to Ding Chunqiu's questions. He directly said to Aju beside him, "Now that you are the new leader of the Xiaoxiao sect, you should end this man's life, which can be regarded as fulfilling Wu Aiazi's last wish." "Thank you, sir." Aju thanked Xiao Fan after hearing this, and then stepped forward and shattered Ding Chunqiu's heart meridian with a palm. Ding Chunqiu's eyes widened, and he died with his eyes open. After Aju killed Ding Chunqiu, Xiao Fan casually killed all the demons and monsters in Xiaoxiao sect, and then took Aju away from Xiaoxiao sect. "By the way, I suddenly remembered something I forgot to tell you." Xiao Fan suddenly remembered something and said to Aju after leaving the gate of Xiaoxiao sect. Chapter 245 Aju's surprise, new tips for the chat group. Aju was curious when she heard this. "Sir, what do you want to talk about?" Xiao Fan did not answer but asked, "Do you want to know your life experience? Do you want to find your blood relatives?" Aju was very excited when she heard what Xiao Fan said. "Sir, you mean, do you know where my relatives are?" Xiao Fan looked at Aju and understood her thoughts without asking. He nodded slightly and said, "Yes, your biological father is Duanzhang Chun, the king of Zenin and Dali. As for your mother, her name is Ran Xingzu. She is the daughter of a wealthy businessman. Because she got pregnant before marriage, she gave you and your sister away for adoption." Aju was very surprised when she heard this. "Sir, you said I have a younger sister?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Yes, you have a younger sister. Your sister's name is Az. She is the purple-clothed girl we met when we just came to Xiaoxiao sect. If you want to meet her, I can take you to catch up with her before she goes far." Aju hesitated for a moment, shook her head and said, "I'd better not recognize her for the time being. I'm afraid she won't believe in my relationship with her now. We'll talk about it later when we have a chance." "Okay." Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and then said, "What do you think about the Xiaoxiao sect?" "Before, I was planning to take you to subdue the Lingjiu Palace, a branch of the Xiaoxiao sect, and return it to the Xiaoxiao sect. If you are not interested, it doesn't matter if you don't go." Aju said, "If you need it, Aju is willing to go to Tanshan to subdue the Lingjiu Palace." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, The Lingjiu Palace is not worth mentioning in my eyes, and I can't use it, let alone the Lingjiu Palace, even if all the forces in this world unite. If I want, I can easily destroy them. Next, Xiao Fan also changed his original plan and took Aju to enjoy the scenery in the Danlong Babu world. While enjoying the scenery, the relationship between the two became closer, until one night, Xiao Fan also taught the wind, flowers, snow and moon skill to Aju. The two practiced together several times in a row, and directly improved Aju's cultivation strength to a very terrifying level. At least, in the world of Danlong Babu, Aju can suppress the whole world by herself. After the two finished their communication, Xiao Fan accompanied Aju for another 3 days, and then told her about his origins. "Sir, you said you are not from our world, but from a place called Qi World?" Aju was shocked when she heard what Xiao Fan said. She never thought that Xiao Fan was actually from another world. This really felt like a fairy tale. Xiao Fan said softly, "I know this is hard to believe, but it is all true. I have been in your world for some time and I am ready to go back, so I want to ask your opinion. Do you want to go back with me or stay in this world?" Aju's face changed slightly when she heard this. After hesitating for a while, she asked cautiously, "Sir, you are not like my father. And you said this on purpose?" Aju found it hard to believe that Xiao Fan was from another world. She was a little suspicious whether Xiao Fan abandoned her like Duanzhang Chun abandoned her mother and deliberately made up an excuse. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. "You think too much. How about this? I will take you to our world first. You can play in our world for a while first. If you want to come back, I will take you back." After that, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly and he took Aju into the Yuaki Tower. Then, Xiao Fan returned to the Qi world through the Wanji chat group. The reason why Xiao Fan always took people to the Qi Source Tower before returning through the chat group was because the chat group itself could not bring people other than group members into another world. Chat group members, traveling to other worlds through the chat group, was equivalent to going abroad through formal procedures, but there was a time limit. Xiao Fan used the Qi Source Tower to collect people and then took them away, which was actually equivalent to smuggling, but there was no time limit. However, Xiao Fan could not use the Qi Source Tower to bring members of the chat group into the Qi world and live there for a long time. They seemed to have been marked by the chat group. In short, Xiao Fan used the Qi Source Tower to bring Aju back to the Qi world. After returning to the Qi world, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly and released Aju from the Qi Source Tower. "Young master, what was that place just now? Why is there a big tree that seems to have life?" After leaving the Qi Source Tower, Aju asked curiously. Aju didn't know yet that she had arrived in a new world. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "That is one of my treasures. I use that treasure to bring you to my world." Aju was slightly startled when he heard this. "Young master, do you mean that I am no longer in my original world?" As he spoke, Aju subconsciously looked around and found that everything here was indeed very different from the room she was in just now. "Yes, let's go. I'll take you out for a walk." Xiao Fan nodded in response, and then pulled Aju, who was a little surprised, out of the room together. Aju and Xiao Fan strolled around the Lei Yansek's residence together, sensing the aura of those people coming and going, and couldn't help but be shocked. Any one of these people would definitely be a top existence in the martial arts world, but here, there are so many of them that they are countless. No wonder the young master said before that he didn't care about the power of Lingjiu Palace at all. The young master has so many powerful subordinates, and there is indeed no force in the martial arts world that can threaten him. Could it be that this is really another world? Xiao Fan looked at Aju's stunned look and smiled. "Don't be too surprised. You will get used to it after seeing it more often. In the endless time and space, there are countless different worlds. I call them the heavens and the myriad worlds. The world you grew up in and the world I live in are just two of them. In addition to these two worlds, I have seen other different worlds." Aju was shocked and said, "Buddha said that one leaf is a body tree, one flower is a world. Is this true?" "Maybe." Xiao Fan smiled. "The world is different from the world. Just think of it as a new country." Aju nodded and said nothing more. Next, Xiao Fan took Aju to play in the Qi world for a few days and introduced her to Ziyan and King Lin. Later, at Aju's request, Xiao Fan brought Aju back to the Tanlong Babu world and let her stay in the Tanlong Babu world temporarily. Anyway, as long as he wanted, he could go to the Tanlong Babu world to find Aju at any time, either to enjoy the scenery or to practice the Fengwei Sui Gong together. After sending Aju back, Xiao Fan temporarily stayed in the Lei Yan sect, instructing Zi Yan, King Lin, Han Nu and Han Zhu in their cultivation, and at the same time sent Lei Yan sect disciples to inquire about the news of Soul Palace and Yao Chen. That day, after Xiao Fan had instructed the girls in their cultivation, he was casually patrolling in the Lei Yan sect, when suddenly the reminder voice of the Wanji chat group rang in his mind again. Chapter 246 System Upgrade, Double Happiness. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he immersed his consciousness in the chat group of all worlds. Group Reminder 1. The chat group will have an additional time adjustment function, and the flow speed of the worlds of different members will be different. Group Reminder 2. When a group member goes to another world, no matter how long the member stays in the other world, the time in the member's original world will only pass for a day at most. Seeing the reminder content of the chat group, Xiao Fan's eyebrows could not help but slightly raise, and he was slightly surprised. Before this, the time flow in the worlds of all chat group members was uniform. For example, if one day passed in the Dqi world, one day would also pass in other worlds. After the group function was updated, if one day passed in the Dqi world, several months or even years might pass in other worlds. In addition, other people can stay in the Dqi world for an unlimited time. No matter how long they stay in the Dqi world, when they return to their original world, at most only one day will pass. Similarly, if Xiao Fan stays in other worlds for 3 to 5 years, it will only take one day to return to the Dqi world. Not only Xiao Fan received the reminder from the chat group. At the same time, all members who joined the chat group received the reminder from the chat group. After understanding the content of the group prompt, all the group members suddenly became agitated. The chat group of all worlds. The chat interface, Luo Feng. This chat group can actually change the passage of time in different worlds. Isn't it too magical? Surprised, Xiaoxiao. The function of the chat group is indeed very powerful. However, I think before this, the time flow rate of our various worlds was the same, which was the result of the change of the chat group. After the chat group function was updated this time, only this restriction was cancelled. Wang Teng. This emperor also agrees with Miss Su's words. I don't know who created this chat group. The ability is indeed a bit too strong. Yan Lingjai. Who cares who created the chat group? Anyway, it can provide us with convenience. I don't care about the first one, but the second prompt is very useful. In the future, I can stay in Brother Xiao Fan's world for a longer time. Expectation. Huang Rong. That's true. If you come to our world, you can also spend more time playing. Anyway, the time in your world will only pass for one day at most, and there will not be any major impact. Xiao Fan looked at the messages from the group and did not express his opinion. For Xiao Fan, the update of the chat group function is more useful to him than the first one. As for the second one, as the group owner, he originally had no time limit to go to other worlds. The difference is that if he has been in other worlds for a certain period of time, the same amount of time will also have passed in the Dqi world. It still has some impact, but not as big as the first update. Because the chat group members joined the chat group at different times, some characters' plots have not yet officially unfolded. When Xiao Fan arrived at the world of some new members, he could not get any other benefits except signing in, but it was different after the group function was updated. The time flow rate of different worlds was different. Perhaps one day in the Dqi world would have passed a long time in other worlds. In that case, when the plot developed to a certain extent, he would have the opportunity to enter it and gain a lot. Especially in a world with higher dimensions like the heaven covering, the timeline can easily be hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. If the time flow rate was always consistent with that of the Dqi world, Xiao Fan would not be able to wait for those opportunities to come out. Ding. The sign-in system of the 10,000 worlds has reached the upgrade standard. Would the host like to upgrade? Xiao Fan was thinking about the chat group in his heart, and suddenly a mechanical prompt sound rang in his mind again. Hearing that voice, Xiao Fan could not help but be slightly stunned. What day is it today? First, the chat group of the 10,000 worlds updated its function, and now the sign-in system of the 10,000 worlds is also going to be upgraded. After a little hesitation, Xiao Fan asked in his heart, what changes will there be after the system upgrade? After the system upgrade is successful, in addition to the guaranteed one sign-in in the 10,000 worlds, the host can also randomly trigger a new sign-in task. The sign-in rewards are completely random and vary in quality. Note: for the triggered sign-in tasks, the host can also ignore them, and there will be no adverse effects. Does this mean that there will be no limit on the number of times I sign in each world in the future? Xiao Fan was delighted when he heard the system's explanation, and immediately chose to upgrade the system without hesitation. The system upgrade is successful. Please wait patiently for the host to trigger a new sign-in. Xiao Fan just chose to upgrade the system, and the mechanical prompt sound of the system sounded in his mind again. This is really a double happiness. After checking the upgraded Wanji sign-in system, Xiao Fan felt satisfied. At this moment, the mechanical prompt sound of the system sounded in Xiao Fan's mind again. Triggering the sign-in task. Please go to the Ghost Mountain Range to sign in. The reward is unknown. Ghost Mountain Range? Could it be that the inertia of the original plot is so strong that Yao Chen is still imprisoned in the Soul Hall branch hall of the Ghost Mountain Range? Hearing the sign-in task prompted by the system, Xiao Fan's brows moved slightly, and he thought secretly in his heart. Speaking of which, Xiao Yan and I have been in Zhongzhou for some time, and it seems that I am not paying enough attention to Yao Chen's affairs. Well, let's go to the Ghost Mountain Range. If Yao Chen is imprisoned there, I will rescue him. After whispering in his heart for a while, Xiao Fan withdrew his consciousness from the Wanji chat group and went directly to find Xiao Yan. Third brother, what do you want to tell me? Xiao Yan asked curiously when he saw Xiao Fan coming. During this period of time, Xiao Fan had been a hands-off manager, and almost all of the affairs of the Thunder Flame sect were handled by Xiao Yan and the Han sisters. Xiao Yan also directly asked the people of the Thunder Flame sect to help him find out the news about the Soul Palace and Yao Chen, but unfortunately he never got any results. Xiao Fan smiled and said, I got the news that there is a branch of the Soul Palace in the Ghost Mountains, and the defense is very tight. There must be something unusual about it. So, I plan to go to the Ghost Mountains in person to inquire about that branch of the Soul Palace. Maybe I can find the whereabouts of your teacher there. Xiao Yan was immediately excited when he heard what Xiao Fan said. Third brother, are you telling the truth? Is my teacher really imprisoned in the Soul Palace branch in the Ghost Mountains? Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. Don't be so excited. I just said it's possible, so I plan to go and check it out in person. If your teacher is imprisoned there, I will naturally help to rescue him. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, calmed down his excitement, and then said solemnly, Third brother, I want to go with you. Please allow me. Chapter 247, Ghost Mountain, New Rewards. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, nodded slightly and said, Okay, then let's go to the Ghost Mountain Range together and meet the people from the Soul Palace. With Xiao Fan's current cultivation strength, even if all the masters of the Soul Palace came out, he could crush them all. Bringing Xiao Yan with him would not have any impact. What's more, after taking the Jinjinui pill, Xiao Yan's cultivation has reached the level of 9-star Zun, and he is not a weakling. It is also good for him to go to the Soul Palace to fight in person. If Yao Chen can be rescued, it will make Xiao Yan's thoughts clear and will not affect his future cultivation path. Thank you, third brother. Xiao Yan was grateful when he saw Xiao Fan agreed. Brothers, there is no need to be polite. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, let's go and talk to Han Nu and the others first. Let them stay in Lei Yanzong, and then we will set off to the Ghost Mountain Range. Xiao Yan naturally had no objection to this. Immediately, Xiao Fan brought Xiao Yan and found Han Nu, Han Zhu, Ziyan and King Lin. The four girls learned that Xiao Fan and Xiao Yan were going to leave the Thunder Flame sect and go to the Dead Soul Mountains to fight the people of the Soul Palace, and they all expressed their willingness to follow them. Xiao Fan waved his hand to interrupt the emotional four girls and said lightly, the Thunder Flame sect is the first stronghold I established after entering Zhongzhou. It still has some weight for me. However, The Thunder Flame sect is basically full of people from the original Wind and Thunder Pavilion, so we need to leave reliable people to guard and manage it. Zhu Yan said, but I don't know how to manage, so I'm better at fighting. King Lin said weakly, I don't know how to manage either, I just want to stay by your side and serve you. Han Yu's eyes flashed, and he said in a deep voice, young master, since you value me so much, Han Yu will definitely not let you down. I am willing to stay in the Thunder Flame sect to guard it. If the original Han Yu wanted to guard the Thunder Flame sect, his strength would naturally be far behind. But after taking the Jinjin Ui pill last time, Han Yu's cultivation has been raised to the realm of 3-starred Zun, and there is no problem in suppressing those surrendered people in Lei Yanzong. Hearing Han Yu's words, Xiao Fan nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. Doupo is still sensible, so Doupo will stay in Lei Yanzong to guard it. Han Zu saw Xiao Fan's praise for Han Yu, her eyes turned slightly, and then said, Sir, then I will stay to accompany my sister, so that we can take care of each other. Very good, then it's settled. Xiao Fan smiled and nodded, and then said, I have 2 pieces of warm jade heart silk here, which are made of 100,000-year-old warm jade heart and refined with soul fire. They are invulnerable to swords and guns, and are not invaded by water and fire. I will give them to you as a reward. While speaking, Xiao Fan's consciousness moved slightly, and he took out 2 pieces of warm jade heart silk from the system space and handed them to Han Yu and Han Zu's sisters respectively. This warm jade heart silk was obtained by Xiao Fan from the treasure of the first young master of Jiuyu in the world of the evil king of another world. It was placed in the system space and was somewhat neglected. Just now, Xiao Fan wanted to give Han Yu and her sister a little reward. He searched in his collection and finally chose this warm jade heart silk. Thank you, sir. Han Yu and Han Zu took the warm jade heart silk with both hands, their faces full of joy, obviously very satisfied with this gift. Seeing this, Zhu Yan said with some envy, Brother Xiao Fan, I also want the warm jade heart silk. Xiao Fan said, it's gone for now, let's talk about it when it's available in the future. Moreover, Doupo and Xue sisters took the initiative to stay and guard the Lei Yan sect. This is my reward for them. If you don't want to stay, there will be no reward. Humphrey, if there is no reward, then there is no reward. Zhu Yan heard this and snorted softly, and didn't say anything more. King Lin always stood beside Xiao Fan obediently, and didn't take the initiative to ask for anything. Next, Xiao Fan explained to Han Yu and Han Zu, and then to Yan, Zhu Yan and King Lin to the direction of the Ghost Mountain Range. The Ghost Mountain Range is located in the northwest of Zhangzhou. This place can also be regarded as a famous dangerous place in Zhangzhou. It is said that many wars broke out here a long time ago. Under the soil of the mountain range, there are countless skeletons buried. And because there is a very strong natural cold here, the cold fog covers the mountain range all year round. Being in this cold fog, the soul perception will be affected. If some reckless people are, they may be directly surrounded and killed in the mountain range. Because Xiao Fan and his friends have never been to the Ghost Mountain Range, they can only reach an approximate distance if they use space shuttle to travel. Despite this, with the speed of Xiao Fan and his group, they have already arrived at the Ghost Mountain Range in just 2 days. I saw that the Ghost Mountain Range was indeed covered by a layer of icy cold fog as rumored. Even when they arrived at the Ghost Mountain Range, they couldn't see the scenery inside clearly. Is this the Ghost Mountain Range? Yan looked at the mountain range filled with a gloomy and cold atmosphere. His eyes flashed with solemnity, and he whispered. Xiao Fan nodded and said, yes, this is the Ghost Mountain Range. The interior of the Ghost Mountain Range is full of fog, and the vision will be greatly affected. Even if you use soul perception, you can only detect about 100 meters. Be careful when you enter. Don't capsize in the ditch. The fog in the Ghost Mountain Range naturally had no effect on Xiao Fan, but with the cultivation of Yan, Zhu Yan and King Lin at the Zun realm, it was more or less affected. Third brother, I know. Yan heard the words and nodded without hesitation. Zhu Yan and King Lin also expressed their understanding. Immediately, Xiao Fan took the 3 of them and stepped directly into the foggy forest, and quickly flew into the depths of the forest. Xiao Fan had just flown into the misty forest when the system's mechanical prompt sounded in his mind. Ding! Sign in successful. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained the soul traction technique. Soul traction technique? What kind of secret technique is this? While Xiao Fan was flying deep into the misty forest, he separated a wisp of his mind and checked the system's introduction to the soul traction technique. Soon, Xiao Fan understood what the soul traction technique was. Simply put, it is equivalent to a radar positioning. After mastering the soul traction technique, Xiao Fan only needs to plant soul marks on other people, so as long as they are in the same world, no matter how far apart they are, Xiao Fan can easily find the other person's exact location. Not only that, Xiao Fan can also use items with other people's soul marks to track the owner of the item. This secret technique is good for finding people. It's quite useful. Xiao Fan's mind flashed through his mind, and he asked Xiao Yan, who was flying beside him, "Xiao Yanzi, is there his soul mark on the bone flame ring your teacher gave you?" Chapter 248, Stone-Eating Demonic Ants, Zhu Yan's Merit. When Xiao Yan mentioned this, he suddenly showed a sad look on his face. He shook his head slightly and said, "When the teacher was captured, he erased the mark he left on the bone flame ring and gave the ring to me completely, so there is no mark of my teacher on the bone flame ring now." Xiao Fan shrugged his shoulders and said, "Originally, if there was a mark of your teacher on the bone flame ring, I would have a way to find him faster. Now it seems that I can only find the Soul Palace in this Ghost Mountain range first." Xiao Yan said, "It can only be like this." Xiao Fan nodded slightly, without saying much, and continued to lead the way to the depths of the Ghost Mountain range. The Ghost Mountain range is indeed very strange. Even with Xiao Fan's powerful cultivation and soul sensing ability, it is also greatly limited. The range of soul sensing is only about a kilometer. The sensing distance of a kilometer seems to be not a small amount, but the Ghost Mountain range is extremely vast, and it will take some time to find the Soul Palace. After the group entered the Ghost Mountain range for most of the day, they were on their way. Xiao Fan suddenly sensed that there was a rustling sound within a kilometer of them. The source of the sound was countless black ants. Those ants looked the size of a fist, and they were filled with a cold and fierce aura. The dense ants gathered in one place, making people feel scalp tingling. Stone-eating demon ants? I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence. Sensing the movement of the ant group, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly and thought secretly in his heart. In the original work, when Xiao Yan and Feng Zunz and others went to the Ghost Mountain range to rescue Yao Chen, they encountered the stone-eating demon ants. The stone-eating demon ants are a very terrifying demon beast in the Ghost Mountain range, not because of how strong they are, but because they have a terrifying number of tens of millions. The evil reputation of the Ghost Mountain range has some reasons for the cold fog, but more because of a demon beast in the Ghost Mountain range, which is the stone-eating demon ant. Although the level of the stone-eating demon ants is not high, their number is too large, and it is simply countless. This is also the terrifying part of the stone-eating demon ants. Even an 8th level magic beast or a Zun level warrior can only avoid the sharp edge of the stone-devouring demon ants. Of course, Xiao Fan didn't care about these stone-devouring demon ants, as long as he wanted. The surrounding area could instantly turn into a sea of thunder. These low-level stone-devouring demon ants would have no chance of survival in the face of the sea of thunder. However, Xiao Fan was not in a hurry to kill these stone-devouring demon ants, because Xiao Fan remembered that the queen of the stone-devouring demon ants in the original book knew the location of the Soul Palace. While his thoughts were flying, Xiao Fan reminded Xiao Yan, Zhu Yan and King Lin, "Pay attention, countless stone-devouring demon ants are approaching us quickly." Stone-devouring demon ants. When Xiao Yan heard this name, his face suddenly changed. Xiao Yan had a detailed understanding of some of the knowledge of Qi continent, and he had also heard about the fierce power of the stone-devouring demon ants. Zhu Yan and King Lin didn't change their expressions much. Zhu Yan didn't take the stone-devouring demon ant seriously at all, while King Lin didn't know the dangers of the stone-devouring demon ant. It was only after hearing Xiao Fan's reminder that she subconsciously became more alert. Xiao Fan looked at Xiao Yan and smiled. "Don't be too nervous, just be careful and don't get ambushed. Although there are many stone-devouring demon ants, there are solutions. However, before that, We can give Ziyan a chance to show her abilities. Xiao Fan remembered that in the original novel, it was Ziyan who caught the stone-devouring demon ants and then learned the location of the Soul Palace from them. Ziyan heard this and said, "Brother Xiao Fan, are you asking me to deal with the stone-devouring demon ants?" Xiao Fan said, "Yes, and number. With your ability, you should be able to easily break into the stone-devouring demon ants. I want you to catch the stone-devouring ant queen." Ziyan heard Xiao Fan's words and immediately patted her chest. "Don't worry, leave it to me." After that, Ziyan flashed and rushed towards the direction where the stone-devouring demon ants were coming from. Soon, Ziyan returned to Xiao Fan and the other two. At this moment, on her shoulder, there was a half-foot-long, dark golden-colored 8-winged giant ant, the stone-eating ant queen. After Ziyan subdued the stone-eating ant queen, the surrounding stone-eating demon ants immediately scattered and retreated, and the area around Xiao Fan and the others became open again. Ziyan walked to Xiao Fan, took his arm, and said with a grin, "Brother Xiao Fan, I caught the queen stone-eating ant. Are you going to give me a reward too?" Xiao Fan reached out and rubbed Ziyan's head, and said with a faint smile, "Ziyan has made a great contribution this time. What reward do you want?" Ziyan's eyes turned, and she said with a smile, "I know that you, Brother Xiao Fan, must still have the same kind of warm jade heart silk that you gave to Hanu and Hanzu. I want one too." In addition to its defensive effect, the warm jade heart silk also looks very beautiful and shiny. Ziyan liked it at first sight, so when Xiao Fan gave it to Hanu and Hanzu, she directly asked for one. However, Xiao Fan did not give it to her at that time. "You little devil." Xiao Fan reached out and tapped Ziyan's forehead, chuckled, "Okay, I'll give you one." After that, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he took out 2 sets of warm jade heart silk from the system space. One set was given to Ziyan, and the other set was given to King Lin. "Thank you, Brother Xiao Fan." Ziyan took the jade heart silk and was immediately overjoyed. "Master, I haven't done anything," King Lin said hesitantly when he saw the jade heart silk handed over by Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "It's the same if you don't do anything now or in the future. Keep it." "Thank you, Master." King Lin thanked Xiao Fan after hearing his words and took the jade heart silk. Ziyan and King Lin had been together for a long time and had a very close relationship. Seeing this, she didn't say anything. Xiao Fan said, "Put the jade heart silk away first and put it back on after you go back. Now, Ziyan, ask the stone-eating queen ant if it knows the location of the Soul Palace." "Okay, Brother Xiao Fan." Ziyan agreed, carefully put the jade heart silk away, and then asked the stone-eating queen ant on her shoulder about the Soul Palace. Not surprisingly, as in the original book, the stone-eating queen ant also knew the whereabouts of the Soul Palace. "It knows the whereabouts of the Soul Palace. Brother Xiao Fan, let's go. I'll lead the way this time," Ziyan said to Xiao Fan with a smile after getting the answer. Ziyan was immediately excited when he heard Ziyan's words. "Senior sister Ziyan, thank you so much." Ziyan said nonchalantly, "Thank you, Brother Xiao Fan. If it weren't for Brother Xiao Fan, I wouldn't bother to help you." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Okay, we don't have to be polite to each other. Ziyan, lead the way. We'll go to the Soul Palace now. Follow me." Ziyan agreed, and then jumped in front to lead the way, going deep into the mountains filled with cold fog. Xiao Fan followed closely with Yan and King Lin. Chapter 249. In the huge palace in the mountains, Yao Chen is pleased. With the stone-eating ant queen leading the way, Xiao Fan and his group had a clear direction and traveled much faster. Therefore, in less than half an hour, the group had already entered the center of the Ghost Mountain range. Hush! In the forest filled with cold fog, Ziyan, who was leading the way, suddenly stopped and signaled Xiao Fan and others not to make any noise. Xiao Fan's heart moved slightly, and he realized that they should be close to the Soul Palace. As for the reason why Ziyan asked everyone to stop, it was not surprising that the stone-eating demon ants discovered the traces of bird monsters arranged by the Soul Palace. In fact, this was exactly the case. After Xiao Fan and others stopped, the queen ant on Ziyan's shoulder suddenly emitted a subtle strange sound wave from her mouth, and then spread out like ripples. Pa pa pa. Not long after this sound fell, black shadows fell from the cold fog forest. Looking closely, Those black shadows were all black birds the size of a palm. These birds were very small, and there was no breath revealed. They were hidden in the cold fog. If you didn't know it in advance, it would be almost difficult to detect their traces. At this moment, all the birds were dead. On each of them, there was a stone-eating demon ant lying, biting their throats tightly. Zhi Yan said softly, "These are the spies of the Soul Palace. If we don't remove them, we may be spotted by the people of the Soul Palace before we find the Soul Palace. Maybe they will prepare traps for us in advance." When Xiao Yan heard Zhi Yan's words, his expression changed slightly, and he couldn't help but feel a little scared. King Lin was also a little nervous and alert. As for Xiao Fan, he had expected this, but he didn't take it to heart. As the saying goes, the more skilled you are, the more courageous you are. Even if the people of the Soul Palace found them and set a trap, it would not be a threat to him. Xiao Fan reminded, "There are messenger birds set by the Soul Palace here. I guess it's not far from the Soul Palace. Let's prepare for the battle." Zhi Yan nodded and said, "Brother Xiao Fan is right. We are indeed not far from the Soul Palace now." Hearing this, Xiao Yan and King Lin also quietly circulated the fighting spirit in their bodies and prepared to fight at any time. Next, the group walked through the foggy forest for about 10 minutes, and arrived at the Soul Palace's branch in the Dead Soul Mountains. Xiao Fan and his group stopped at a very high and steep slope. Looking up, they saw a huge valley surrounded by mountains at the end of the slope. In the valley, there was a huge black palace that was 100 feet long, like a crawling prehistoric beast. In the darkness, there was a chilling and terrifying atmosphere. "Is this the Soul Palace?" Looking at the palace in the valley that looked like a giant, Xiao Yan couldn't help but take a breath. His expression seemed a little solemn. Xiao Fan said calmly, "Don't be nervous. As long as your teacher is here, I can guarantee that he will be rescued. Although those people in the Soul Palace are quite powerful, they are nothing to me." Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan said solemnly, "Thank you, third brother." Xiao Fan said casually, "Brothers, there is no need to be polite. You can step aside first. There is a space barrier outside the palace complex of the Soul Palace. I will open the space barrier first." "Okay." Xiao Yan and the other two agreed and stepped back a little. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he mobilized the power of space. There seemed to be a silver light flashing at the tip of his finger. Xiao Fan's fingers moved slightly, and the silver light cut a wide door hole on the twisted space barrier. Xiao Fan pushed his palm, and the space quietly turned into nothingness. An invisible space gate appeared in the eyes of Xiao Yan and others. Seeing Xiao Fan open the space gate on the space barrier, Xiao Yan was a little impatient to rush in to search for Yao Chen's whereabouts. "Wait a minute," Zhi Yan suddenly called him. Xiao Yan stopped and looked at Zhi Yan in confusion. Xiao Fan and King Lin also looked at Zhi Yan's position. Zhi Yan smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll let the stone-eating demon ants in first and bite all those guys to death." After that, Zhi Yan patted the stone-eating queen ant on her shoulder, and the stone-eating queen ant immediately made a strange sound rhythm. The next moment, Xiao Fan and the others heard a rustling sound again. Then, they saw that the scalp-numbing stone-eating demon ant swarms like a tide kept coming from the forest filled with cold fog, and quickly rushed into the palace community of the Soul Palace along the space gate. Seeing this, Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Well done. Let these stone-eating demon ants cause some trouble to those guys in the Soul Palace. However, they are not enough alone, so let's go." And Xiao Yan and the other two naturally had no objection to this. Immediately, the four of them flew towards the huge palace of the Soul Palace. I don't know what means the Soul Palace used. There was almost no interference from the mysterious fog in the Dead Soul Mountains in this branch of the Soul Palace, and the impact on soul perception was also reduced to the minimum. Sensing this scene, Xiao Fan immediately released a powerful soul-sensing power without hesitation, and scanned the interior of the Soul Palace. Under Xiao Fan's soul-sensing, everything in the Soul Palace was exposed. Soon, Xiao Fan found Yao Chen's trace in a square deep in the Soul Palace. Yao Chen looked very miserable at this moment. In the square deep in the Soul Palace, a black stone pillar with a height of 100 feet stood up to the sky. The stone pillar was covered with countless strange runes. One after another, dark chains extended from the stone pillar, cross-outlining the square inches the air. At the end of the chain, There were illusory souls with painful faces tied up. Yao Chen, the soul body captured by the soul palace, was also among them. Yanzi, your teacher Yao Chen is here. I have sensed his location. After discovering Yao Chen, Xiao Fan said directly to Yan beside him. Great, I finally found my teacher. Where is my teacher? I will go to save him now. Yan was very excited when he heard Xiao Fan's words. Xiao Fan smiled and said, I will take you directly to Yao Chen's location. Before, I was worried that the Soul Palace would find out about our arrival and take action against Yao Chen in advance. Now that we have found Yao Chen, there is no need to hide. After saying that, Xiao Fan stretched out his hand and drew a space channel in front of him. The other end of the space channel was connected to the stone pillar of the Soul Palace square where Yao Chen was trapped. Let's go, Xiao Fan said, and stepped into the space channel first. Yan, Ziyan and King Lin immediately followed Xiao Fan without hesitation and stepped into the space channel. On the stone pillar of the square, Yao Chen sensed the appearance of a space channel and subconsciously looked over. He saw Yan's figure at a glance, and a look of relief suddenly appeared in his eyes. I didn't make a mistake this time. An enemy has broken in. Sound the alarm. At this moment, a sharp shout suddenly came from the depths of the huge palace of the Soul Hall. Chapter 250, Save people and crush the elders of the Soul Palace. First, the stone-devouring demon ants broke into the Soul Hall and caused chaos, and then there was a violent spatial fluctuation. The people stationed in the Soul Hall soon discovered the abnormality. At this moment, the people who felt it most directly were the people in the Soul Hall who were guarding the souls of Yao Chen and others. Seeing Xiao Fan and his party walking out of the space channel, the people in the Soul Hall on the square suddenly changed their expressions and became fully alert, but they did not dare to take the initiative to attack. The strongest of these Soul Hall people guarding the square was only at the Zhong level, and since Xiao Fan and others were able to tear through the space and come, they were at least at the Zun level. Naturally, they did not dare to take action, and could only hope that the elders of the Soul Hall could arrive as soon as possible. Xiao Fan and his men did not take the Soul Hall disciples guarding the square seriously at all, but just moved their eyes and searched for Yao Chen's location. Teacher. Soon, Yan found Yao Chen's soul, which was trapped on a platform by the special chains made by the Soul Hall, and looked very weak. Yan's figure flashed, and he flew to the front of the platform in an instant. He knelt on the ground with a thump and said in a hoarse voice, Teacher, disciple is here to save you. When Yan knelt on his knees, Yao Chen's eyes in the ball of light trembled slightly, and then slowly opened. His turbid eyes looked at the young man in front of him and the latter's red eyes. He was stunned for a while, and then a weak smile of relief slowly emerged on his face. He said in a hoarse voice, Little guy, you found me so soon. I didn't make a mistake this time. Xiao Fan, with Ziyan and King Lin, also landed next to the ball of light and smiled. Let's rescue your teacher first. It won't be too late to reminisce about the past after we go back. Yan nodded and said, Third brother is right. As soon as the voice fell, Yan stretched out his palm and placed it on the ball of light. The vast soul power at the center of his brow suddenly surged out like a tide. Immediately, invisible ripples appeared on the ball of light. The ripples spread out from Yan's palm and finally affected the entire ball of light. Under Yan's action, the ball of light trembled continuously. After a while, there was a bang sound, and the ball of light broke directly. After breaking the ball of light, Yan hurriedly stepped forward to help Yao Chen, who was sitting on the ground, and asked with concern, Teacher, are you okay? While speaking, Yan also noticed the strange chain locked on Yao Chen, and his face looked particularly gloomy. Yao Chen said with some self-mockery, This is a soul-locking chain, which is specially used to restrain the soul. This thing is extremely hard and it is not easy to destroy it. These guys in the Soul Palace think highly of me. Xiao Fan smiled faintly when he heard this. Mr. Yao, don't worry, this chain can't bother us. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and a cluster of black flames suddenly appeared on his fingertips. With a slight movement of his fingertips, the flames popped much larger and instantly fell on the soul-locking chain. This is exactly the chaos fire that Xiao Fan obtained from the world of the evil lord of the other world. Chaos fire can burn everything, so a mere soul-locking chain is no problem. However, in the blink of an eye, the soul-locking chain tied to Yao Chen was completely burned to ashes. Under Xiao Fan's intentional control, the chaos fire did not hurt Yao Chen. "Thank you for your help, my friend." After Yao Chen escaped from the predicament, his soul body floated up, and he bowed to Xiao Fan, expressing his gratitude. Xiao Fan said casually, "Since you are Yanzi's teacher, you are one of us, so you don't have to be polite." Yao Chen asked curiously, "I wonder what kind of strange fire you used just now?" "I felt an extreme threat from it, far beyond any strange fire I have ever seen." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "This fire is called Chaos Fire. If you insist on calling it a strange fire, it is fine. However, even the number one strange fire is much inferior to Chaos Fire." Yao Chen was shocked when he heard this. "You dare to come to the Soul Palace to make trouble? Are you looking for death?" At this moment, an angry roar came from the depths of the huge palace. Then, 5 figures with murderous aura rushed out of the huge palace and appeared in the soul-locking square. After the 5 people landed in the square, they directly surrounded Xiao Fan and his companions from different directions. When the other Soul Hall people on the square saw the elders coming out, they immediately became confident and urged their chi, ready to fight at any time, as if they were planning to surround and kill Xiao Fan and his party. The 5 people all had the aura of Zun level. Although for Xiao Fan now, the mere Zun was not taken seriously at all, but for the other people on the Qi continent, the appearance of 5 Zun at once was still a very big deal. "Yao Chen, I didn't expect someone to come to rescue you so soon. It seems that you have accepted a good disciple this time." After the 5 Soul Hall Zuns landed on the square, one of them looked at Yao Chen beside Xiao Yan and sneered. Yao Chen said lightly, "Old monster Mugu, I didn't settle accounts with you, and you still have the face to mention this matter." It turned out that the person who spoke just now was the old man Mugu who joined forces with Han Feng to harm Yao Chen. "First, take down these guys who dared to trespass into the Soul Palace." At this time, beside the old man Mugu, a Soul Palace elder dressed in black shouted loudly, and then threw out a huge black mist, like a venomous snake, whistling across the sky, and rushed towards Xiao Fan and his men. Seeing this, the other 3 Soul Palace elders also attacked Xiao Fan and his men at the same time. Those Zong and Huang level people in the Soul Palace saw the elder take action, and followed suit, thinking of fishing in troubled waters and avoiding being held accountable later. In an instant, countless black mist attacks seemed to wrap up Xiao Fan and his men. "You guys in the Soul Palace are still as disgusting as always." Xiao Fan looked at the black mist that enveloped them, frowned slightly, and spoke indifferently. After the voice fell, Xiao Fan raised his hand slightly, and then gently waved it in the direction of the people in the Soul Palace. Boom! The next moment, the soul-locking square of the Soul Hall was filled with a terrifying thunderous sound that shook the earth. The entire soul-locking square soon turned into a sea of thunder, and the 5 Soul Hall elders, including Elder Mugu, and other people in the Soul Hall on the square were all wrapped in the sea of thunder. Under the terrifying thunder attack, the people in the Soul Hall could not help but scream. Almost every second, someone in the Soul Hall died under the terrifying thunder attack. Even the elders of the Soul Hall who looked so majestic just now had no power to resist the thunder attack from Xiao Fan. "I'll go back to the ring first." Yao Chen looked at Xiao Fan's terrifying attack. His eyelids couldn't help but jump, and he said to Xiao Yan, and quickly hid in the bone flame ring. As a soul body, Yao Chen was very afraid of the thunder sea. "Heavenly Lord, help me." Elder Mugu tried his best, barely holding on for a while, and shouted for help with a painful face. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.